Well, hello. Welcome to the Horror Screams Video Vault podcast, part of the Horror Screams Video Vault website. I'm Stephen, and this is episode 24 of the podcast. And we're joined today by a couple of regular voices. Hello, Sarah.
Hey, Stephen. How's it going?
How you doing? Yeah, all right, thanks. Yeah. How's your month been, man?
It's been very good. It's been like counting down the days to Halloween because it's nearly Halloween. It's very exciting. Favorite time of the year. 9
more days to Halloween. Yes, we're recording this on the 22nd, so there's 9 more days to Halloween. What are you doing for Halloween?
I'm going to a gig in London.
Oh, of course you are. This is the...
Send more paramedics.
Yeah, jawohl. Wow,
Yes.
Matt. So next time you better tell us how it went.
I certainly will. It's going to be epic. I can't wait. So excited.
That's a pretty great way to spend Halloween, actually.
It's a very good way to spend Halloween. Yes.
Nice. And we're also joined, Sarah, by another return visit from Peter Hieronymus Hopkins. Hello, Pete.
Hiya, how you doing?
Oh, hi. Yes, Sweden.
Yes.
Oh,
I've been travelling, can you tell?
oh, wait a minute. Inga? Is that you?
No, it's the pizza.
Oh, sorry. You just sound so much like Inga. She's so beautiful. So, how's your month been, man?
Oh, you know, it's also.
Unfortunately,
I
Peter.
don't know podcast like this.
If you need any help after listening to this podcast, please do get in touch. Yes, well, it's good to hear from you again, Pete.
Why are you all going away? Come back. Come back.
Since being released, we've noticed some small changes in Pete's behaviour.
Yeah. I think he's been kidnapped. Can we have the real Pete back, please?
Hello. Oh, that sounds
it's okay.
nasty. That's a COVID
He's just
cough.
had a frog in his throat.
No, sorry, I was just coughing.
Oh, God, still
Oh, what a relief. It was just a cough. Oh,
Yes,
Pete.
hello, Stephen. Hello, Sarah. Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
good
Thank you.
good to have all three of you here tonight.
Glad
Fantastic.
to have me, myself, and I here, yes.
Yes, good to see you. Oh, you're looking nice. I like what you done with your hair.
Thank you. I'm coming to the left this side.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the right was so not you.
Uh,
Oh, God bless you. So, yes. Oh, bless you. So, yes, welcome. Episode 24. Core, blimey. So, we've been doing this thing for 2 years now. I worked that out all by myself.
Wow.
2 lots of
12.
12.
24 months times
2.
Oh.
Carry the 1.
7 times 5 divided by 8.
X equals 2.
26!
Yes, we've
that's
been doing this for
next.
26 years.
Holy tomoly.
Core blimey.
Unbelievable. And
we're only talking about Saw now? Christ, I can imagine what the other episodes were.
Saw now.
Saw
Yes.
17 we're talking about today.
Yes, because it's Halloween-ish, we're going to be doing the franchise that in recent years has been most associated with Halloween because they were bringing them out one a year for 7 years.
Mary Poppins!
It's the Saw films. Yes, that's right. We'll be going through all of them, including the most recent one. But first, it's time to find out what we've recently been up to or have seen or have listened to. So let's go to Uncle Pete first to see what you've been up to for the last month. Pete.
Wow. Thank you, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be
welcome.
here, as always.
So polite.
I haven't actually watched any movies this
Get
month.
out of here.
All right. Stephen, bye. Bye.
Oh, he's put the phone down. Oh, that's a bit awkward.
Mm.
He's actually gone, I think. Well, there's no
really
shame
didn't
in not
watch
having
anything.
watched anything. There's no shame in it, is there, Sarah?
Well, I'm glad
There is
you
not.
feel like that. I haven't watched any movies this month, which is weird for me because normally before it was cool, I did the whole 31 days of Halloween watching horror movies. But as I watch horror movies on a general day-to-day basis, it doesn't really feel like anything special anymore. So
Oh,
the only film I'll be
Get that.
watching today, well, not today, but on Halloween is my usual tradition on Halloween. Stephen, you know what it is, don't you?
your usual tradition on Halloween is to watch the best of the sequels, Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch.
No, I was watching Schindler's List.
D'Artagnan. Oh, Schindler's List. Oh, yeah, that's pretty, that's like totes emotion, that film.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
And my friend says it's not even based on true events. What about that?
I said, stop!
Little Holocaust denier joke there. So you've not watched anything, Pete? Well, that's
Well, I've watched myself.
You've watched yourself. Oh, that's
Uh-huh.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's, especially those hard to reach places.
Yeah, back of my knees.
Oh, it gets filthy round there.
But yeah, Halloween 3 is the best of the sequels.
It is. Yes. It's
before we
one.
get anywhere else, and I'm sure Stephen's probably going to edit this out, but we'll say it anyway. Stephen actually absolutely hates Halloween kills. So if you want to send any hate mail, that's a good job. Is that what you meant, Stephen?
No, it's totally, you've got it totally wrong, man. You've got it upside down, round the wrong way, totally bonkers wrong. I thought Halloween Kills was great.
Boo!
However,
come on, Sarah, join in. Boo!
Sorry,
it's behind you.
Oh,
he's behind you.
Oh, it's Jimmy Savile.
Oh my god.
But yes, no. So you've not watched anything. That's okay.
Well, thanks.
But you are.
I don't need your approval on this, but thanks anyway.
This means like next month you have to watch double, Pete. That's what that means.
Well, in that case, as I've watched nothing this month, I shall watch one next month because that way
Yes,
that's double zero.
Double.
That's more than double.
There you go.
Quick maths.
Although 2 negatives makes a positive, so if you watch less than nothing.
Not if it's a COVID test, it doesn't.
Watch less.
COVID's still out there, yeah. Big body count coming, I think. It's exciting, isn't it? What do you reckon? I would say, so if we're already up to about 130,000-ish in Britain, I would say winter, everything else, people waiting for operations that will die anyway. 200,000 altogether? Let's place our bets. I'm saying 200,000 by
Personally,
February.
I don't think any life is worth betting on.
So, Sarah, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? Well, I've made up for Pete not watching anything because I've watched.
How dare you?
I've watched loads for me.
Good on
this
you,
month.
Sarah.
Oh, well, good for you, Sarah. Oh, well done.
Check me out. Yes.
We can because this video.
I've kind of done a bit of a catch up because I've watched a load of films that other people have watched that I've always said, oh yeah, I'll get around to that. I'll watch that. And so yeah, my first one was Willy's Wonderland.
You said Willy.
I've seen that.
Willy. It's all right, isn't it, for a Nicolas Cage film?
Oh. Okay.
I love Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, no, he's great, but in this he says nothing. He has no dialogue whatsoever.
That's right. Yeah.
He's just kind of creepily thrown into this weird, disused restaurant with crazy killing animatronic animals and just goes around like annihilating them all. It's really good fun. I thought it was it's quite funny. It's quite different. Well, it reminds me a lot of the Banana Splits movie that came out, but I would say that it just slightly tops that because they're kind of like the animatronic monsters are actually like human spirits trapped in the machines and stuff in Willy's Wonderland. Okay. So yeah, no, I enjoyed that one. That was a very good one. I'll run through them quickly because I have watched quite a lot. The other one I've watched recently was another one that I hadn't seen that loads of people have told me to watch, and it was Us.
Ah, yes.
Finally got around to watching that. That is a Jordan Peele movie, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really creepy. It was kind of different to how I was expecting it was going to be from like the little snippets and stuff I'd seen of it over the time. But yeah, that was also really creepy and very good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What else have I watched? I watched a movie from 2015 called Bite. You've seen that before, haven't you, Stephen? The one with the
yes.
that gets bit by the bug in Costa Rica or something,
and then starts to mutate. Yeah,
it turns into like a kind of giant bug and like lays loads of eggs all over a flat and stuff. That was kind of cool and slimy and gross.
Right. And that's a bit of a throwback to like, well, a bunch of 80s stuff, I suppose, like The Fly and all things like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bite's quite good. Yeah.
That was pretty cool. That was just a random one that came up on Prime, I think, and I just went, "Oh, yes, I'll give that a go." I finally watched Life as well. Not really a horror movie, more of a sci-fi type thing with Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal. That was kind of cool. I liked the little Martian-y flappy monster. It was really cute to start off with and gets scarier as it goes on. The ending was really good as well. I enjoyed the ending. And
yes,
finally,
the ending. Sorry.
Oh,
The ending's really good because it's a downer, isn't it? The ending is like,
it's massively bleak. Yeah.
I love the ending of Life's underrated, actually. The movie, obviously, not the experience. That's totally overrated.
Totally overrated. Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of sad that I'm sure most people have seen it now, but you kind of hoped that Ryan Reynolds would be in it a bit longer.
Oh, he dies halfway or something, doesn't he?
It's quite early on, really. He's one of the first ones.
Yeah, that's right.
But that was kind of a cool death for him.
And I kind of miss. We had loads, obviously, in the 80s, but I kind of miss those alien rip-off type movies, which even things, I suppose, like Species that came later on are really fun. But Life was a nice return to that kind of thing.
Yeah, it sure was. And then finally, for some light relief after managing to cram in every single one of the Saw movies as a rewatch for the podcast, just rubbing that in there to everyone, I watched on Disney Plus Muppets Haunted Mansion. Everyone needs to watch it. It's really cool. It's really cute, and there's like loads of like puppet ghosts.
Or is it like a short thing?
I don't think it didn't feel all that long.
Is it a new thing there? Is it brand new?
Yeah.
Nice.
From this year. It's just under an hour, Pete.
Okay.
I need to watch that. I like the Muppet. Did you watch the most recent Muppet movies with like Jason Segel and Amy Adams, and I think Ricky Gervais is in the second one? They're really good. The most recent ones.
I think it's in a couple. Yeah.
You had me until you said Ricky Gervais, and I clicked.
Oh, I love Ricky Gervais. He makes those funny faces. He's a funny man.
That's just his face.
Oh, the chubby face, that's all
That's definitely
prosthetics?
just his face.
Oh.
No fat shaming, Stephen.
Oh no, cut that bit out as well.
But yeah, no, it was really cool.
Sounds like you've crammed a lot in, Sarah. Like you've really pushed it all in.
Yeah, definitely. I was watching like 2 or 3 movies in a day. I had some time off work. Just some holiday, just to sit at home and watch movies. It was really good fun.
Nice. Jolly nice.
Yeah, I think that's about it for me for my recently seen. How about you?
Oh, glad you watched Us. Us is awesome. I thought that was because Get Out got pretty much all the praise, and I liked Get Out, but I thought Us was much better than Get Out.
Yeah, it's definitely scarier. I suppose Get Out was a little bit more kind of psychological, really, isn't it? Whereas Us is a bit of both, but quite a lot of playing on people's fears, and everybody kind of wondering if there is like a doppelganger of them out, and the premise that there's this kind of like world of other people living in the sewers and the underground and stuff, trying to get out.
Yeah, I thought that was great, and the final shot, which we don't have to say what it is, but the whole setup.
Already spoiled life for me. Someone spoil that as well.
Oh yeah, Ryan Reynolds is dead.
Sorry.
What?
It all ends badly in life. Life ends badly.
Usually, yeah. It doesn't. I've never known anybody to die and go, "Oh, I'm glad that's the way you go." Woohoo!
Yes, yeah. Do check it out. Yeah, Us was great. Yeah, I love the sequence with what is it? Is it "Fuck the Police" that plays on the Alexa device?
I suppose it's potty language.
They're calling for the cops, but through their Alexa type device, and instead "Fuck the Police" plays on the system. That's a great joke. Jordan Peele does that stuff really well, actually. The humour isn't just kind of crowbarred in.
Did you say John Peele or did you say Jordan Peele?
John Peele, no relation to Orange.
Okay, just want to clarify.
John Peele,
one's
rest in peace.
Radio One from a very long time ago.
I like John Peele. John Peele's favourite song of all time was "Teenage Kicks" by the Undertones, which is one of my favourite songs. It's fabulous.
Because you're John Peele.
I am? Oh, Jesus, wow.
No, not Jesus, just John Peele.
Oh, I just saw Jesus in the reflection on the computer screen. That was weird.
That's
I saw him in a crumpet once, but buff Jesus, not the not the boring one. Buff Jesus.
Buff Jesus.
When you say crumpet, do you mean like a really good-looking woman?
Yes, it was someone from the 70s. It was.
I'm not a big crumpet.
It's good this time of year, isn't it? Because you go into your local shop for local people and you can get crumpets shaped like ghosts because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
If you go into your local shop, especially if you live in a village, you can come out with local people who look like ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Because I had to.
like Sandra from number 74. Yeah, she's lost some weight, hasn't she?
Good for her.
Yes, well, there's something wrong with her, but yes, good for her nonetheless.
I thought it was like a good thing.
The Crypt Keeper. Yeah, so recently. Oh, was that it, Sarah? Any other recently seen you?
Yeah. No,
you
that's
you certainly
done.
rammed them in.
I sure did.
Go on then, Stephen. Time for you to tell us all how much you hated Halloween Kills.
Oh, for goodness sake, it's all a myth.
Oh, yeah. Hang on, everybody. If you go to facebook.com, type in Halloween Kills Sucks. Look at the person who's put the profile picture up. Just click it and have a look. Just have a quick look.
That's definitely not me. Yes, it turns out that Halloween Kills has been divisive. Although it's had, actually, I've seen a bunch of people that like it a lot, and a bunch of people that don't like it at all, which is quite strange, really.
I've seen more people, as is usually the case for these sort of things, hating about it. But it's a part of a trilogy. You should wait until the third part's out. Well, technically, it's not really part of a trilogy. There's 4 parts, really. So you wait till the last parts come out and then make a decision.
Yeah, although it works really well on its own as well. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a better film than the 2018 one that kicked off this new kind of what do you call it? Reboot, which is a stupid word. But yeah, it's a better film than that, because most importantly, it doesn't have those knobby podcasters that hogged the first kind of half an hour of the film just to be killed. Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, has got more interesting stuff to do in this one. In the first one, or the first 2018 one, that is, I'm not quite sure if I like the idea of her as this kind of crotchety old bag, agoraphobic. Much preferred the H2O version of Laurie in Halloween H2O.
Move on, Stephen. That was years ago.
But this is better. This has got loads more going on. This is wall-to-wall gore, pretty much. Massive body count. It's gone mind-blowingly gruesome with the deaths and everything. Laurie's got more interesting stuff to do. There's loads of people back from the original 1978 movie, including old Charles Cyphers, who looks like a man that's been dragged out of retirement and doesn't know what's going on. Whoa!
That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Playing Sheriff Brackett, which is quite nice. Nancy Stevens is back, who played Donald Pleasance's nurse friend in the original, and confusingly came back for H2O but got killed off in that one. But obviously this is a different timeline.
Yes, that's right.
Tommy Doyle
is part of the Marvel universe. We have
yes, yeah. Tommy Doyle is the Hulk, and little Lindsay Wallace from the original is Hawkeye in this version.
Nobody's going to pay attention to that.
Got to find the 76 Infinity Stones to stop Michael Myers from killing everybody. So they've kind of played around with the story a lot. No, it's really good. It moves really fast. The characters are good. There's some fun kind of victim characters in it that are actually, quite likable. Really good on suspense. There's some fantastic scenes that involve Haddonfield. This is in the trailer, so it's not giving anything away, but involve Haddonfield gathering an angry mob of people that want to go after Michael Myers themselves, which is pretty much, from where I was sitting, is pretty much like a bunch of Trump supporters, because except instead of saying, whatever Trump supporters say, "Make America Great Again,"
controversial episode.
They're saying evil dies tonight is the recurring chant of this insane mob of ridiculous people that think they can take on Michael Myers. So the movie could actually be called Make Halloween Great Again, because it's pretty much about what a fucked up world modern America is. But yeah, Anthony Michael Hall from 80s comedies like National Lampoon's Vacation is really good, actually. He's been getting slated. I don't know why people are slagging this off. Maybe they're just don't get it. But I thought he was really good as the grown-up Tommy Doyle. He's one of the people that isn't back from the original playing the character, but the Lindsay character is played by the original actress from the 78 film. It's got a great soundtrack by John Carpenter again, and his band of his son and the other guy.
Band of Merry Men. John Carpenter and his Band of Merry Men.
That's right. And they are putting some nice new kind of compositions in with the themes. They've slightly changed the key and the notes. Bow down down.
Really way to spice it up.
But yeah, I thought it was awesome. Yeah, I like the 2018 one, but I thought this was better. And I'm actually looking forward to next year's one. Apparently, there's a totally different. My friend was saying there's a totally different ending that they didn't use, which is going to be on the Blu-ray. Which, from the sounds of it, would have been a better ending than the one they went for. Although the one they went for, I actually thought was all right as well. But I just think the one that has been described as the alternate ending for this one sounds really strong.
There's a alternate ending coming out on the new Candyman release as well for the new film. So, which I think the ending for the new one works perfectly.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what this other version might be.
Yeah, it's a good time actually, because I thought Candyman was great as well. So these franchises that have been around for a long time, especially Halloween, for them to come out with something as good as these after all this time is really good. Yeah,
so
the ending of
Steven.
Candyman. Scream. What, you mean the new one?
Yeah.
Strangely enough, the new Scream was advertised in the before Halloween Kills, which makes sense, I guess. It's out in January. Yeah, it looks all right. Obviously, Courtney Cox has now got a fucked up face because she's had. It takes a lot of dollars to make you look so ridiculous, obviously plastic surgery wise. But David Arquette looks quite good.
Hat. He looks silly that way.
What's happened to that face? Nev Campbell and David Arquette have aged gracefully and actually look like 40-plus-year-old people. But yeah, it looks all right. The thing that gives me some hope about Scream 5, which is just called Scream, annoyingly enough, is that
all these films coming out with the title of something that came out years ago, possibly not confusing at all.
No, it's just total bullshit.
Is this going to have its own timeline as well?
Yeah, anything to the mighty dollar. It's got really good directors, like They Made Ready or Not, which I thought was such a good film from a few years ago. So that gives me some hope. And the trailer looks like, hopefully this is the case, but the trailer looks like it's ditching the what was increasingly annoying, snarky, like, oh, we know we're in a slasher film, and and this happened in the other slasher film. It looks like it's being more serious, which I think is the only way to go, because the whole thing of being endlessly referential to other horror films got boring by about the year 2000. So
I've never watched the TV series, so is it referencing that at all?
I started watching the TV series and it got really irritating because it was doing that Scream thing of people gathering around saying, so the rules of surviving a TV horror series are
Don't pick up the script and don't pick up the phone. Leave before anybody pays you.
I think, the TV series I think is a separate entity and probably should.
There we go. Excellent. We have our own multiverse as well.
I think I'm going to give the new Scream looks okay. I think it looks like they're trying to do something interesting with it, so that's cool. There's a bunch of good horror coming out. Antlers is out next week, which is apparently really good. The Black Phone looks really good. There's some interesting things on the route. So Halloween Kills, loved it. Thought it was great. Also,
before you go, what triggered the title for the what's supposed to be the last Halloween? Let's be honest, it's not going to be the last Halloween, but the last Halloween, which is
Halloween Bell Ends. Halloween
Ends.
Yeah, well, I thought the titles are a bit silly. I mean, Halloween Kills, what does that actually mean?
Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends,
Halloween Begins.
Sorry, we made too much money. We need to make another one.
Yeah, inevitably, it's this will happen, that will happen. Jamie Lee presumably is out of it this time, maybe. I mean, they'll just redo it all again. There'll be a remake of whatever. There'll be a remake of H2O or something. I don't know.
No, it would be the best one of all, the one with the rap star.
Busta Rhymes, he's back.
There's got to be
Trick or Treat Melon Farmer.
Its own multiverse with that one. That'd be great, just to see where he goes with.
I think that's it. I think one of the annoying things about reading people slagging off Halloween Kills is that they seem to have short-term memory loss because they've forgotten that there's been some really terrible Halloween films along the way. Halloween 6 is really quite not good when you rewatch it. I thought it was okay at first, but when I've gone back and Halloween Busta Rhymes is just the most embarrassing thing that anyone's ever done in any of these slasher franchises. It's possibly even worse than Freddy's Dead and the Dream Child from the Elm Street series, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Although it's not as bad as The Nun. So, okay. Let's give or take.
Yeah.
The Warrens. Oh.
Just to give everybody a little bit of feedback on Stephen's comment then. He doesn't like the Conjuring franchise.
I did it first.
No,
Yes.
there's no pegging back here. You're not. Obviously, you're not a prostitute. That's not what I meant. You're not a politician. That's what I meant.
Those two things. Well,
they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand sometimes.
I've seen Michael Gove down the road offering free blowjobs.
I believe you liked the first Conjuring, and then it was when they started going, we can make some more money out of this.
Yeah.
Hey, you know that mirror from the first one, which you only see for 2 seconds. That's the next one.
Well, there is a moment. I think it's in The Curse of La Llorona, which is the one good thing about that movie. It's got a funny priest by an actor. I forgot his name, unfortunately, but he's really good in it. I'm sure something like this happens. I may have misremembered it slightly, but I'm sure at one point in a movie that has otherwise nothing to do with the Conjuring films or the Annabelle end films, but at one point, I'm pretty sure there's just a shot of him walking around in the background with the Annabelle doll. Oh, it's part of the Conjuring universe.
There we go. It's been linked. Yeah.
So it's not part of the Conjuring. This is a separate film that you've tied in. And the annoying thing about the Conjuring thing, anyway, is that the series we're discussing today has made over $1 billion, which is quite astonishing. So it's one of the highest franchises of all time for horror in terms of box office.
I told you, Salty Stephen's going to be on today. Salty Stephen turning up on the podcast.
But annoyingly,
just because 24 is nearly half of his age, he was having a bit of an arsey-barsey about it. No, yeah.
I'm not 74. Oh, well, no, I couldn't make that out.
That's why...
But here's the annoying thing. The Conjuring universe, which is a stupid name for it, the Conjuring thing of films is the highest...
It's called Conjuring Universe.
Yeah, but the Conjuring universe then is the highest grossing horror franchise of all time of over 2 billion. But it's obviously a total bullshit figure because the universe itself is made up of very, very loosely linked films that have just been put together as the universe to kind of, increase the profit.
Christmas Carol isn't part of the Conjuring universe.
Muppets Conjuring Christmas Carol. That would be better, wouldn't it? I wish Annabelle would just kill herself. Ugh. And it turns out in real life, the Warrens, even though they're made out to be these fantastic...
I told you, Salty Stephen's here today.
The Warrens, who were portrayed in the movies as saintly, rah, rah, oh, the church is great, yeah, Catholic Church, rah, rah, rah. The Warrens were pieces of shit in real life.
Wow, we've had politics, religion, and... zealousy going on. I don't know what the hell's going to happen in this.
So recently seen, yes. So Halloween Kills is awesome. Don't listen to the bad reviews, including the critics who obviously don't know Jack anyway. This month I've also watched.
It's ironic considering there's 3 of us who are critics here.
We don't. No, we're different. We're critiques, not critics. It's pronounced differently.
Critics.
I also watched the.
Cry little Seth Greens everywhere. Little tits.
Who's Seth Green? Oh, he's that guy, isn't he, from Buffy? Yeah. So.
And he's also in Ticks.
You can't say tits on the radio. Oh, ticks.
Well, you said the F word.
I did not say that. At least I haven't said the brown word yet.
Chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. I watched The Walking Dead: The World Beyond season 1.
Yes.
Which I was said to review. Which is the latest and short-lived because it was designed apparently to be 2 seasons. I'm sure that's got nothing to do with the fact that people have got a bit fed up with these generally. It was okay to start with. It was okay to start with. I was almost on board with it, and I thought, oh, these characters aren't too annoying, which these days for a TV show is kind of a massive win. But very quickly, it's grinding along, and here's some loads of flashbacks showing that time when somebody broke a nail before the zombie apocalypse, and somebody's got daddy issues and dead parent issues.
Finally,
and nothing happens.
The series is taking reality of what's going to happen in the apocalypse, taking a serious stance on things. That's what we need.
The zombies occasionally pop up, and it's absolutely fantastic makeup as ever. And terribly wasted on what is really such a laboured, Jesus Christ, why? Who is this made for anymore? I just don't understand. Julia Ormond is really good. What is she, Sarah, in the show? She's an older British actress who's always good, and it's good to see her again. She's like the general type figure involved in that.
Yeah, she's quite cool.
Yeah, she's a good character actually, and a really good actress. And I was okay with a couple of the other characters, and I thought there was some good maybe early promise. But yeah, it was a slog,
with you
Yeah,
on that.
and it was
I
drippy. It was sentimental.
I've
Oh,
been
Yeah,
sent
it
it.
was.
I've been
Did you
sent
watch
it as
it?
well. Nope, still haven't got around to watching it. But then I kind of like, am I missing anything by watching that? Because I haven't watched obviously the whole of the original series, and I haven't watched
Oh yeah, no,
Fear the
I
Walking
don't.
Dead. Does it make a difference if I
Don't
miss this?
no. I wouldn't say that it does make any difference. It's completely different. You know, it's set like many years after that in the kind
A
of
universe, you could
lifetime.
have said.
Well, yes, could do.
Today's word is
Yeah,
sponsored by Universe.
the universe. Yeah, it's set way after. So basically, the zombie apocalypse kind of happened when they were kids, like little kids, wasn't it? What
oh
do you
yeah,
reckon? They were like 6 or 7, something like that, and they're now like mid to late teens or something, aren't they? And they've
yeah,
grown up in this society, so they haven't had to struggle as much as like the guys had in the original Walking Dead and stuff like that, because they've all been in like fairly secure places. Everything's been set up around them. They haven't had a lot to do with it. So yeah, it is a bit light on the zombies. But yeah, you're right, Stephen. There are some really good. I do like the makeup again. You know, they've
really good.
stuck the kind of Walker ethic and stuff, haven't they? Isn't there one that was just like it'd become like a beehive or a wasp's nest or something? I thought that was
Yeah,
really cool. But I'm with you on that. I struggled with the first couple of episodes because I found the kids a little bit sappy and it was a little bit hard to like kind of relate to them, probably because I'm old and boring and they're just weird and you know not
kids
used to the
today.
world. Yeah, exactly, totally like that. But then I kind of warmed up a little bit more to them, especially Silas, who was a bit weird.
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah.
then towards the end, I kind of went the opposite way. I kind of actually preferred the kids acting to the adults that were with them.
Hmm.
For some reason, they took a massive nosedive and just turned rubbish, in my opinion.
Stephen hates children's actors, so don't talk to him about that.
More lies and lies and lies. Yeah,
But
I just
I kind of
yeah.
hope it just does, this second series, and which I'm assuming will be them actually making it to their dad, which is the whole point of it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
That was the premise, wasn't
go,
it?
yeah, we'll call that a day. That's that done.
Hey, because he's working on a cure, or he's working on
Mm.
the yeah. Well, I briefly watched the extra thingy that was on it, and they were saying that it was designed to be over and done with in 2 seasons, which at least is a good thing. I mean, if they'd have tried to
Yeah,
drag this out for
God knows
years
how
and
many
years,
seasons. Yeah,
and I don't even know if is it worth it. I mean, is enough people tuning into
no,
all the spin-offs? I don't really, I just don't
no, it
understand.
didn't. It didn't get a great reception when it first came out. To be fair,
Yeah, that makes
in
sense.
regards, in regards to like the original series and Fear the Walking Dead, like World Beyond was like inferior to both.
Yeah, yeah, it was a bit of a drag. What else have I watched? Just briefly, I watched. Again, I had these to review. I watched the yokai. How do you say it? Yokai films, the Japanese
Yokai collection.
yokai monsters. Yeah, these were really cool. These are really fun.
Mhm.
I don't think I'd ever watched them before. Actually, certainly not all of them. There's 3 from the late '60s, and there's one from Takashi Miike from 2005-ish, I
Yeah,
think.
it's slightly different, that one.
Yeah, which I still liked. I mean, it's got a bit of CGI in it. It's totally bonkers, as you kind of probably expect. But it does sort of manage to do something different while also being quite true to the old ones. Yeah, these were great. I mean, this is a fascinating bunch of films that you can see the influence of all sorts of things in Yokai Monsters. You know, you can see the influence on things like Pokemon, definitely, and even the influence on J-horror characters in some of the more kind of sinister, creepy things. Even the long-necked, whatever she's called, the long-necked lady with the kind of long neck.
Neck. Oh,
That's
wow.
what she's called. She's all neck.
Officer. She had a long neck and she had a long neck. Go find
Any
her. Go.
any distinguishing features? When I grew up, when I
She had
grew
a
up,
woolly jumper.
when I was
Pink.
growing up, there was a woman, and I never knew her
That's your
name.
mum, Stephen.
There was this person that was always in the phone box, because back in the 80s, of course,
Superman.
you didn't have cell phones, or as we call them, cell phones. What do we call them? Mobile phones. That's it. Yeah. So to phone anybody, you had to go to the phone box. You had to have 10p at least. And there was this woman that was always in the phone box whenever you wanted to use the phone. But oh Christ, she's in there again. And we never knew her name until much, much later, years later. But she had an unusually long neck. And so it was always the long-necked woman in the phone box. Do you speak to your nan? No, the long-necked woman was in there. Oh Christ, bloody long-necked woman.
It wasn't the lady from Island of Death, was it? Because if she's in there, watch out, her brother's going to turn up soon, and it's not going to end well.
Holy shit.
It's going to end well for him, not end well for everybody else.
He always has a happy finish.
I wouldn't use the telephone box anyway.
So yeah, I don't know what my point was actually. Phone boxes. So yeah, Phone Booth, great film with Colin Farrell.
Yeah,
Yoko Monsters was great fun. They're a real mixture. They're certainly family friendly, I would say. There's nothing kind of particularly gruesome. They are quite weird, but they're weird in a way that so many of the cool 80s stuff that I like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, it's that kind of weird. So I don't know what rating they get these days, probably a PG or 12, but they're things that I'd happily watch, with children and stuff, not just my own. I'd watch with children I don't know. And
that doesn't sound awkward.
And they just got really great creatures. My favorite is still the umbrella-y, whatever he's called, the umbrella creature thing that looks like an umbrella, Sarah.
Cool.
But I think you'd love it. I think you'd like it too. And the first three, all from the early 60s, or from the late 60s rather, about like an hour and 20 minutes, so they're nice and short. The Miike one is 2 hours, but it pretty much flies by because it's fast paced, loads of action, loads of weird and interesting stuff going on. So this is an Arrow release that I think is out nowish.
Yeah.
3-disc box set.
Came out this week, I think.
Yeah, four movies, really fun, especially if you like. I suppose it's somewhere in between. Yeah, I mean, it was running parallel to the kaiju stuff in the 60s. I think the kaiju stuff was fading out maybe just as these things kicked in. And it's just another fantastic kind of bit of Japanese culture that crossed over. And of course, also influenced things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well, very much so.
Cool.
So yeah, awesome. Do check it out if that's your bag, creatures, all that kind of stuff. Briefly, I got the Universal Monsters 4K set, and I've only watched the 1931 Dracula, which looks beautiful. I mean, they've old movies, especially black and white movies, for reasons that are slightly beyond me, but technical reasons probably. Black and white movies do look particularly great in 4K. In this case, as far as I can understand it, Universal has spent an absolute fortune in transferring their kind of catalogue of monster movies, or at least in this case 4 of them, to 4K. And the Blu-ray release from a few years ago was fantastic, but this is somehow even better. They've also, by the looks of it, they've cleaned them up more, so there's no more. Dracula's 90 years old, so it's very, very old. But looks like they've got rid of, there was kind of wobbles and stuff still in the very good print that was on the Blu-ray. They've got rid of that. They've cleaned up all the other stuff, like all the specs and stuff. But also it just looks much nicer. It's not as bright, strangely, even though 4K is obviously traditionally a lot brighter than Blu-ray. But I think it's just because they've made the blacks actually look like black rather than that kind of strangely bright grey that was in the Blu-ray release. So it's beautiful. Dracula, I always thought was just such a fantastic film, but it just looks stunning. And the black and white, yeah, absolutely bowled over by that. I haven't yet watched the other 3 in the set are Frankenstein, Invisible Man, and The Wolfman. And apparently The Wolfman, from reading a review, has had the best kind of restoration in somebody's opinion. So yeah, I'll be checking those out probably over Halloween because they remind me of Halloween.
Yeah, that's cool.
With those Universal fake trees and the forest and stuff.
Yeah. That sounds like a good Halloween.
It's like visiting London. Fake trees everywhere.
Yes, it's just like London, Pete, but with a werewolf.
Just like London.
What was the
Oliver Reed running around everywhere?
I wish he was, but obviously not now. But Oliver Reed, maybe about 1962.
Yeah, probably. What was you going to say before I sidetracked you with Oliver Reed?
Only one more thing. Recently seen Midnight Mass. So I don't usually watch TV shows because I'm a little impatient. But Midnight Mass is the latest from Mike Flanagan. You know, Mike Flanagan, who has done some great stuff over the years. I
Who's
still
Mike
like
Flanagan?
his. He's Mike Flanagan. That means it's really dead good.
I see. I'm not down with all this cool lingo.
Yeah, that's what the
cool
kids are saying. If they like something, like
usually when I hear that, it's usually I'm talking to my dad about something.
I'm rubbing my knees at the same time as saying it as well. Just the knees, though.
Like the two guys in Shooting Stars.
Yeah, what did they do? They rubbed their knees and did.
Whoa.
And what was the other joke in Shooting Stars was a song in the club style.
And it was the call the pigeon, Daniel.
Oh, the dove from above.
Yeah. Sarah's now on the other side of us looking, what the hell are these two talking
There's a chance that this reference could be lost on any listeners in Venezuela. Just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah.
This reference could be lost on anybody pre-1992.
Oh God, is anybody else still alive from pre-1992? Yeah, so Midnight Mass. Yes, me too, technically. Midnight Mass is, yes, it's a new series from Mike Flanagan, or etc. He's really good. I mean, he's busy as well. God, is he busy? How does he find time? Sarah?
I don't know. He's busy doing so many other things.
Beavering away, beaver. Yes, so I like his early stuff. I really like Absentia, that's the movie, and Oculus was really good with that great actress you don't see much of anymore, Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica. I always thought she was so good, and I've not seen her for a while. She hasn't been in touch. He did Doctor Sleep, which is what I think is a pretty underrated follow-up to The Shining, which didn't really seem to get the attention it really should have got. He did The Haunting of Hill House, which was great, and The Haunting of Bly Manor, which had its moments. It wasn't as great, but it was perfectly splendid. Little joke there, because of that slappable child.
Yes.
Bly Manor actually had such a beautiful episode, the black and white episode, which was showing the backstory of, was it the pale, what was the ghost called? The pale-necked lady, the broken neck? No, it's gone.
The bent neck lady was from the other one, The Haunting of Hill House.
I've remembered it. It's the lady in the lake, I think. The lady of the lake. Yes, it was her backstory. And I thought that one episode made it all worthwhile. The rest of it was, sometimes good, but obviously dragged out. Midnight Mass, though, which is 7 episodes, I think, currently on Netflix, is really good. It reminded me a lot of Salem's Lot, but then again, his stuff is very Stephen King-y.
Yeah.
Like The Haunting of Hill House is much more Stephen King than it is anything to do with the book, The Haunting of Hill House. Midnight Mass is really good. The less you know, the better. So I think cleverly the trailer gives you the impression it's something different to what it becomes, which is good because trailers normally obviously ruin everything. So that's cool. Very Salem's Lot, great cast, including a couple of people at least from his other stuff. His wife's in it again, but she's a really good actress, so that's okay. Yeah. And it's got some really good scares, but very spaced out. It's much like his other stuff. It's deliberately paced, so deceptively little seems to happen, but somehow it's still really riveting. It's very dialogue heavy, but it does have a great setting that's a bit like, reminding me a bit of The Fog, this kind of island setting, very atmospheric, and it's about a priest that comes to the island and things are a bit off, and this happens and that happens, and there's a thing and that goes, but yeah, it also pays off really well. It has an ending that doesn't disappoint. It's got such a great, powerful last few episodes where stuff kicks off, but not really in the way you'd expect. In fact, nothing really happens. It'd be
interesting to see what comes along, because you described it as a bit Salem's Lot-ish. Well, they're making a new Salem's Lot, so it'd be interesting to see if people that haven't seen Salem's Lot before watch this new one and go, huh. Basically, it's a rip-off of Midnight Mass, isn't it?
It's Midnight Massy. What's this? Yeah, bloody rip-offs.
That's probably what's going to happen, because we're all of a certain age now where we see things and we're like, well, hang on a minute. No. That's
been done before.
That's been done before.
Yeah, we're at that point now, aren't we? Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I'll be up. I think Flanagan's doing a Poe thing next. He's doing the House of Usher, I think, and something else as well. But yeah, again, I don't know how he finds the time, Sarah. he's a very talented guy. Henry Thomas is in this, and so lots of people that have been in Flanagan's other stuff. But yeah, I was well impressed, and ultimately, it is a kind of in Midnight Mass. There is a sort of traditional kind of monster in it, but done in a very non-traditional way. So, yeah, it was really cool, and I thought it was proper spooky and really emotional. It was totes emotion, as they say. I don't say that. I don't
know who says that, but yeah.
No, not me. Yeah, so that was it. That's recently seen. What a bag of tricks that was. Hey, Pete. It was a big sack, wasn't it? That we just unloaded.
That was a bag of tricks. That was almost Halloween based. And the other thing he was thinking of was the Midnight Club.
Oh, the Midnight Club. What's that? What's the Midnight Club?
It's a TV series he's doing. Coming out in 2022, he's done 2 episodes of it so far.
Oh, yes, that rings the vaguest of bells. Yes.
Unless you didn't mean directing, you meant producing.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. The Midnight Special.
What's the point of giving these references? You know what you're talking about.
I just don't. I don't know. It wasn't there. It wasn't me.
Someone is killing the children. No, sorry, I was just looking out the window.
There's always
that's a TV series he's co-creating as well. Something is killing the children.
That's got a catchy title.
Yeah.
So
next on Nickelodeon, Something is Killing the Children.
Oh yeah.
It's Barney. It's always Barney.
Oh, by the way, there's apparently there's you know the guy Sarah, the guy that did the Dead Snow movies, Tommy Vacola.
Yes.
His movie that's on Netflix apparently called The Trip. I hope I've got that right. Is apparently awesome.
Amazing!
I love Tommy Vacola. I loved his Dead Snow movies, and Hansel and Gretel. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't great, but at least he had a shot at something bigger budget, and it wasn't terrible, which is a relief.
No.
But apparently this, which I don't know, maybe he's gone back to he's German, isn't he? Maybe he's gone back to Germany. I'm not sure, but apparently it's really good. And a bit of a gore fest, but possibly not in the same way that the Dead Snow films are. So that's something I must remember to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, recently seen. That's it, and it's time for the main attraction, everyone. Yes, that's right. The Halloween time is here, and over the course of at least initially 7 Halloweens, these movies came out, 1 a year. And there's a good feature on the Jigsaw disc about the people making these films that were talking about, Jesus, how do we do that? We've got to prep this stuff pretty much as soon as that one's made a fortune at the box office, get it out for Halloween the following year. And they had to have a break. So that's where there's a 7-year gap. Saw 7, or Saw 3D as it was called on the screen. Yeah. Strangely, it's called Saw the Final Chapter on the Blu-ray cover, but it's never known as that on the screen title. Is always Saw 3D. There was a 7-year gap between that and the next one, then a few years gap between that and Spiral, which came out this year, delayed by the pandemic, of course. But the Saw movies. So the Saw movies go back to 2004, and it's quite a sweet tale, isn't it? Like these 2 Australian film students.
Man meets woman, woman meets man.
Woman loses face in horrible garden thresher accident.
The Lake House. Oh, it's not that.
It's like Simon Bates. What was it called? Love Hour. What was this thing called? Yes.
Steven's been watching the Hallmark Channel again.
Oh, I get so emotional. So yeah, I mean these. When you look at it, I mean James Wan, who has gone on to massive things like the Fast and Furious movies and The Conjuring and Insidious and Dead Silence.
What was that one before Dead Silence?
The
Hunger Games. He didn't do the Hunger Games.
The amusing thing about James Wan is he still looks about 12 years old. And when he was making Saw, he looks even younger. He looks 11 maybe. But yeah, him and Lee Whannell, who himself has gone on to amazing stuff like The Invisible Man, which I thought was terrific, and Upgrade, which is a fantastic movie. They made this little short kind of pitch, this 7-minute short with Lee Whannell playing the guy in the bear trap, which became a big part of Saw as a means of pitching the idea of Saw, and they got $1 million and they made it, and they sent the script out to people quite famous like Danny Glover and Carrie Elwes, the sexy Princess Brightman, and it became this tiny budget 3 men in a warehouse, or 2 men in a room with a
3 men in a warehouse starring Ted.
3 men and the baby, 2 girls, 1 cup, and somehow this thing that was just designed to be a kind of 1-room 7 style thriller became a massive gore franchise, which is great. and it holds up really well. I rewatched the original recently to prepare for this, and it's still a really good film. I think it's very different to what came after, of course, and that makes it more quite special. I think for me, it's a bit like it's like a lot of films from around that time. Beforehand, we had stuff like Cube, which I really liked, and afterwards we had a lot of those kind of small contained movies. There's one in the sauna. Is there one in the sauna called 247 Degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Things like Frozen, Three People on a Ski Lift, all these kind of pared down concepts either came before or after Saw that I kind of put into the same genre. The ultimate one of those, of course, is Buried with Ryan Reynolds, where it's just one man coffin, which is a fantastic film. So Sarah, I saw all of these films in the cinema. How did you come across Saw?
I don't think I watched the first one in the cinema, but it was a long time after. The only one I actually watched in the cinema on Halloween was Jigsaw.
Ah, yeah, the most recent. Oh, almost the most recent one.
Most recent one. The rest of them, I kind of like waited to hang on, but I did see Saw in the cinema. I think I only watched a couple of others kind of out of sync in the cinema, but I did watch the rest in sequence. Just waited for them and bought them when they came out rather than went to the cinema. But Saw the first one in the cinema was just epic. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
It just totally it was nuts. It blew my mind. The whole bit towards the end where the doctor he finally gets there and finally saws his foot off.
Yes.
And he's screaming, and then you've got Lee Winnell as Adam in the other side, literally just screaming across you. You're just in the cinema, you're just oh my god, this is crazy. It's you just want to scream with them.
It's an amazing secret. Yeah. And I think especially
the twists,
the twists. Yeah.
Jeez. You kind of feel a bit stupid watching them in the cinema. I'm quite a gullible person, and I don't see things coming very, very easily. A lot of people go, "Oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen," and I'm just "Whoa, where the fuck did that happen? And how the hell did he end up?" He was in the room the whole time.
Yeah, it's a fantastic twist.
They're trying to work out killers, and yeah, it's just awesome. It blew my mind watching that at the cinema. It was so awesome.
Yeah, the point where he stands up is amazing.
Yeah, it's just crazy, and you're just how is this going to go on? How can you see it panning out and stuff? You just I have no clue. I just love this. I need to know more. I need to watch more. There has to be more of them.
Yeah, totally. It was really genuinely shocking, and we had no idea what to expect. Really, Saw had that good thing of really clever marketing campaign where a lot of the posters were just a picture of a severed foot. And the trailers didn't give too much away. Much like Seven, really, it was all designed to avoid showing too much, and then you were caught up in it, and you had not really any idea of where it was going. Because all the way through Saw, the original, you think the guy, Zepp is kind of the bad guy, really, isn't he? He's the guy that's kind of pointing guns at the heads of children and stuff. But as you said, the puppet master of it all has been in the room the whole time, which is fantastic. Also love that you never see hardly any. I mean, you don't see him saw his foot off. You see the beginning of him starting to saw his foot, but everything else is off camera.
Yeah.
So people watching this now would probably be surprised at how goreless it is.
Yeah, but still has that insane impact.
Massively so.
You don't need to see it, and you're watching them trying to saw through the chains and stuff with the hacksaw and stuff, and you're no, you just know that that's not what that's for.
Yeah, and everything's so grungy, isn't it? It's got shitty toilet syndrome. He puts his hand in the toilet at one point.
Yeah, and the bath water that he wakes up in and stuff is disgusting.
Yeah, everything looks green and nasty. Yeah. Hey Pete, were you you're old enough to have seen this in the Cinematheque?
I did indeed. I did see this in the Cinematheque, and I thought it was rather good. And one of the things I most like about the Saw films is specifically the label that came with it. Torture porn. Which was, of course, most notably by David Edelstein, who writes for New York Magazine and CBS Sunday Morning, if you didn't know. He was the original person who coined the term torture porn, which, of course, was mainly to do with Eli Roth's Hostel, and then went on and became part of the Saw sequels as well, and Bates Moore, Devil's Rejects, and Wolf Creek and stuff like that. I'm talking like this because Stephen really, really likes the phrase torture porn. He does not find it at all irritating. Do you, Stephen?
I'm crying and laughing at the same time. Yes, it was.
I'm gonna
David
watch a bit of that.
Evans.
Ooh, torture porn.
Here, Margaret, do you want to watch this? You'll see it going in, you will. I've came. Yeah, torture porn. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it is that thing, isn't it? The torture porn doesn't exist as a genre, obviously. It's not.
Well,
a
actually,
thing.
it does, David.
It doesn't.
Stephen, because David Epstein came out with it, so it does actually exist now.
The article where he talks about that is amusing because he just comes across, not surprisingly, as a total knob, and he's.
But he's the chief film critic for New York Magazine. He knows his stuff.
It never makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, if he was any kind of film critic, he would know that Saw is the latest in decades of films that are doing the same thing. Like there's Boris Karloff movies in the 30s that have Saw-like traps. The Mask of Fu Manchu is one. Dr. Phibes from the 70s, a massive influence on Saw. You know, there's pretty much the same trap with the eyeball guy in Saw 2 as in one of the Dr. Phibes movies. So this is old stuff. I mean, there's nothing new about these horror movies. They're a bit gorier, but then they were allowed to be, just as Hitchcock would have showed loads more graphic violence in Psycho if he'd have had the chance and the freedom to do so. As for torture porn, why does porn have to be a bad thing? Porn is, the biggest industry out there that lots of people enjoy, as they do these films which made over $1 billion. So why is that a bad thing? Torture porn? Well, that sounds a good thing to me. I'll go and watch that if it's porn and torture. Makes no sense. They're not torture porn. They're horror movies made at a particular time where this stuff was extremely popular, and you could look at all sorts of social factors, the background of post 9/11 stuff going on, where America was obviously, or the government was torturing people at Guantanamo Bay. It makes sense that this movie came along at a certain time, just as it made sense with other cycles that came along in horror, as it always does. The Gothics have a revival every now and again. J horror coming over to the West. The paranormal activity stuff, the supernatural stuff that came out, and the found footage and all those things. So yeah, it's total garbage. It means even less. It means there's so little. It means it's like video nasties. What the fuck? What's video nasties mean?
Yeah.
Some politician came up with that term. That's what. Video nasties. What does it mean? That the videos themselves are nasty. The tapes.
Oh. Well, talking of torture porn, there's a couple of quotes from well-respected directors and writers. Eli Roth claimed that to critics trying to sort of defend the subgenre, said that the generally says more about the critics' limited understanding of what horror movies can do than about the film itself. That's what he said about things, and they're out of touch. Whereas Stephen King just simply put about Hostel 2 and about porn, torture porn, was sure it makes you uncomfortable, but good art should make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, there you go, and there's nothing new about it, is it? And horror by its nature is designed to do this stuff.
George Romero put it quite simply as, "I don't get the torture porn films; they're lacking metaphor." And the funny thing is, you had the torture porn kind of decade thing, and basically anything got sort of lumped into it. So sort of like a crime thriller type of stuff would have got into it. So Lindsay Lohan in I Know Who Killed Me, that was marred with this is a torture porn. Lindsay Lohan and torture porn is not really two things.
Which is ridiculous. If you've actually watched the movie, it means nothing. It's basically a label to use if you don't like something, in the same way that somebody will say this was gratuitous violence. That just means you didn't like the violence in the film. If it's violence in a horror film or an action film, it's not gratuitous because it's part of what that kind of movie is to be violent. So that's a bit like saying a song in The Sound of Music is gratuitous because you don't like the particular song.
I don't like spaghetti bolognese, and often when I get served, I always say, no, I just say, get the torture porn away from me.
So it is total nonsense.
Due to its scenes of extreme violence, graphic sex, and genital mutilation.
Ooh,
Is what
genital
happens
mutilation.
yeah, from Spaghetti Bolognese. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Hostel movies too. Actually, we'll have to cover those. They're actually like the Saw movies. The thing that gets lost in all of this nonsense from
That they're all
people that
torture
are
porn films,
too
just in
old
case
to
we haven't
know
covered
better.
that.
Is that they're very popular, and despite what they probably think, the audience isn't a bunch of like cavemen style people going to rub themselves off during a scene of somebody getting maimed. Although I did that anyway. And two, they're actually really
That's
smart.
before you went into the cinema.
Yes, always go in dry, Pete. And of course, the Saw movies are really smart. You know, the Saw movies, unusually for a series this long, there's a lot of thought behind them. And when you see the people that made them, as you do with horror movies generally, you know, you see a bunch of quite quiet, modest, bashful, and intelligent people like James Wan and Lee Winnell come across in interviews and stuff. And indeed Tobin Bell, who is an extremely intelligent man, who's a Shakespearean actor, you know, who's a classically trained actor that
Well, you should know better.
that found something really good.
With Patrick Stewart being in these sort of things,
Sorry.
Ian McKellen.
You haven't seen Green Room?
Sir Ian McKellen. I have seen
Patrick
Green
Stewart
Room.
is in Green Room.
Yeah.
I have.
Life
I have
Force.
also seen The Green Door.
Oh, isn't that the Shakin' Stevens song?
It is as well. It's also
Behind the
a
Green
soft porn.
Door?
It's also a soft porn film with Marilyn Chambers
Oh,
in it.
Marilyn Chambers. Yeah. Yep, they're all good.
I was trying to remember what the book was that was about the torture porn phenomena. And it's Torture Porn, Popular Horror After Saw, which is written by Steve Jones. Do you want to go check it out?
Yes. Yeah. It's
got a forward in it. Stephen talking about his favourite phrase.
Oh, good to know I'm in it.
Yeah. Yep. You're in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, it's the original. It's a cracking film, isn't it? I like the
Bit bloody, to be honest.
bloody hell, and it's a very mild film compared to the later ones, which works quite well. It's got a very Seven-ish feel about it, as we said, and I suppose though what the first film does is it does capture the structure of the films later, so it's full of flashbacks, so everything's changing time frames and stuff. That's it with the series from the very start. Although looking at the extras and stuff, a lot of the style of it came out of necessity. Like they had so little money that the use of a lot of freeze frames and still images in these really fast cut montages was simply because they didn't have quite enough material to stitch together. So they had to resort to quite flashy editing techniques to mask things like, for example, what they described as a car chase where the car only went 5 feet. And when you watch it with that in mind, you can kind of see that, well, actually, yeah, this is a car chase where there is not really a chase going on. That car never left this particular
well, to be
thing.
fair, in regards to the car chase, if you ever watch a Troma film, especially their earlier stuff, there was one car chase that appears in one of their films, and it cost them a hell of a lot of money. That's so much so they used the same car chase and it going bolting down the road and flipping in quite a few of their films, just because it was so expensive to film. They just think, I'll just edge that back into their film. So why not? You find a way to get around things, and if it's that, which in certain Troma films it works, and in the Saw films it works, why not?
It works really well.
Would you have preferred this to be watching it not so much as a weird kind of aspect, but sort of watch it and go, straight linear profile, starting from beginning to end, from A to B to C to D, as opposed to sort of jumping a few bits, but you sort of know what's going on. I'd rather have it, you sort of, what I do, you sort of jump forward a bit and then you go back to it later on.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely have it that kind of way, because that's how they kind of like, they feed you little bits as you go, and then
you try and
it
put
all
it
comes together
yourself
at the end. Yeah. I mean, I think with the first one, you're right, Stephen. They kind of do go backwards from it. So the bit that reminded me loads of Seven in the first Saw movie was the bit where the police go to one of the first games where they find the guy in the razor wire.
Yeah.
That really reminded me of, like, what was it, the sloth bit in Seven, and how they went back backwards and forwards to that. And you do kind of notice in the first few Saw movies that it is more of an individual thing. It gets, they tend to like then start using like mass traps as like games for like large numbers of people. But in the first one, well, I suppose they do in the second one as well, don't they? Because there are quite a lot of people trapped in the house. But in the first one, it's definitely he's picking on people individually.
Yeah, very
more than
specifically,
like large groups of people, and he's actually giving them a chance. Because not everybody dies in the Saw games.
Well, yeah, the most famous trap, Amanda survives it, obviously, the reverse bear trap. And as you go on, as you quite say, there are games that are going on within games. People within a game find somebody else that's within their own game that's got their own agenda and is following their own clues. I think it's quite elaborate. Yeah, it's good. I think the first one is the one that's genuinely trying to be scary. The ones after are very much about the big set pieces, but the first one is genuinely quite creepy, isn't it? You've got the stuff with the kid, the daughter of Carrie Elwes, who's obviously a bit of a bastard, and the stuff with the guy in the room, or she senses that there's a guy in the room, and you've got a lot of things like that going on. I think the use of the puppet, which is very much inspired by Deep Red, I would say. The use of the puppet is quite sinister in the first one, Billy on the tricycle thing.
And the use of the I suppose the tapes and stuff as well. These were like early 2000s. Tapes were going out then anyway, weren't they?
Tapes,
but they stick with it throughout the whole franchise with the tapes,
which I think is great. And there's something about the old-fashioned, what is now old-fashioned stuff in the Saw movies that I think is really good, and that is the tapes, which kind of ties in, I suppose, with the use of videotapes in the Ring movies, which were originally made in the late 90s, but the American remakes were early 2000s. So even in the American remakes of the Ring, videotapes were an anachronism, really. But it was important to keep the connection going. But especially the use of the traps themselves, I think it goes a little wonky. I know they're trying to be different, but a little wonky later on when the traps get a bit high tech. But I think the Saw movies for me is all about these mechanical, all this hydraulics and winches and gears and stuff, just as it is about the prosthetic makeup, which is so good in all the movies, the gore effects being practical at a time when a lot of gore effects and even blood, which never looked good in CGI, things were shifting. So the Saw movies, I think, are a nice throwback to stuff being tangible.
Well, do you think, obviously there is a way to make this work, but do you think if iTunes was basically around sort of then, but do you think it'd be like, oh, hang on, I've got this MP3 I've got to download and I've got to play it before? I don't think that would quite work.
It's
I've got to download it to my phone. Hang on.
Oh, bloody, what's my iTunes password?
Sending me a code I've got to type in.
Yeah, true.
Oh, the tensity you got to wait for. I typed in the wrong code again. No.
It has to be a tangible, because they do that, don't they? They do that in the most recent American Ring film called Rings, I think, where it's an MP3 or it's something that goes on the web, isn't it?
Yeah, it can work, but it's making it work. It can only work a couple of times, I think, whereas the old format of a VHS or a tape or even an old record, somebody putting stuff on it would work, because obviously us lot grew up with those sort of things, but people that are born after, say, 2005, they would see that sort of thing and think, what is that? What is these CDs? They're cross-dressers, you can call that.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things like that, though, isn't it? Like, I think cinematically, as far as something looks in, for example, a horror movie, it's not very interesting, all those movies that have scenes of people sitting at a laptop. But I like those scenes in 70s and 80s movie where someone has to go to the library and look at microfiche to look at the history of the haunted house that they're living in, because that's got a more interesting look to it.
Yeah.
And I think,
Where have you been, Margaret? I haven't seen you for 6 days. I'm just trying to find this bit in the clips.
1979. Oh, Indian Burial Ground, it says. So yeah, no, I love that stuff. I love all the mechanical stuff. The bear trap is a great example. The razor wire thing that you mentioned, Sarah, and the traps are in this film. It's pretty discreet compared to what's coming. You see a tiny scene of Amanda fondling through the intestines of that guy where she's got to get the key.
Yeah,
but that's very mild for this series because it gets mental. later on. But I think it's more about the tension. It's more about the novelty of the structure of the film is really impressive. And of course, a really key aspect is established in this film, which is the score by Charlie Clouser of Nine Inch Nails fame, which is such a signature part of these movies. I was always a fan of Nine Inch Nails. And apparently they temp tracked this film before they got Charlie. They temp tracked the film with Nine Inch Nails tracks. So he came on board after they kind of sent him stuff and told him they temp tracked it with his own band's stuff. And it's a great industrial score for this film. And obviously the main theme is used loads later, especially for the montage at the end that explains what the hell's been going on. Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it really holds up the original.
I've
Sure
always
does.
liked, in regards to this franchise, I always liked. There's a lot of people have mentioned the gore and that kind of. I always like the psychological aspect of it and the actual traps themselves, and you sort of figuring out how would you get. Obviously, some of them later on are made. You can't escape them. There's no way you're going to escape it without maiming yourself, at least in some form or fashion.
Or they're very well mapped out. Follow this line, go through this door. Yeah. Whereas, like the one in the original, you're just chained to a pipe in a really grotty bathroom. What the fuck do you do? Yeah.
Stephen's saying about the temp music. Imagine what they would have potentially done if they used that music and when they went, no, sorry, you can't use it, and they have to use something else. So think of it like Crispin Glover's dance in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Different music was actually playing when he was doing the dance, but we don't hear that music. We hear different music when you're playing the DVD or whatever. So his dance looks completely weird and off the wall.
Spacey rollers.
Yes, what would you have done if, I don't know, they used that for the Saw films and they went, actually, can we use Paul McCartney and Wings? No, doesn't quite work.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. The movie looks like a kind of industrial rock video, doesn't it? A lot of the time, like something by Tool or by Nine Inch Nails or something from that period, which is part of its very 2004-ish charm, I guess. And it's great art, and the cast, man. Danny Glover's great. It's kind of people that you suspect. Yeah, that's it. 5 more days to retirement. Oh, I've been killed. It's kind of what you kind of guess that each of these quite famous people are only on the set for maybe 1 or 2 days. Like Danny Glover looks like he shot all his scenes in 2 days or something, which is probably the case. Although I love the story that Tobin Bell, they were planning to use just a double or a dummy or something for him to lie on the floor. So he was only going to be working for 1 or 2 days because all of his scenes took just a day or so. But he insisted that he lay down for the whole 7 or 8 days on the floor. So that really is him the whole time because obviously he's a kind of method guy. And that stuff I think is really important to the overall feel of the film. Once you know that, you think, wow, yeah, he was that devoted to it.
He just wanted an extra paper day. That's all that was. Only getting paid for 2 days. Why stay down there for 8 days?
He's been asleep the whole.
Nice holiday to Barbados after this. That'd be nice.
Yeah. What have you been doing? Just sleeping on the floor.
It's good old Tobin Bell, and he's not in it very much. That's the cool thing about it as well, is that he's in it so sparsely, mostly lying on the floor. He's in those tiny other scenes, but his screen time is minuscule. But obviously, with the voice, his presence is over the entire film.
I was going to say, you hear a lot more than you do see.
Yeah. And I had a Kevin Spacey in Seven moment watching this in the cinema because with Seven, obviously Kevin Spacey wasn't credited at the start or anything, so it was a real shock when he shows up. But I'd seen The Usual Suspects before Seven, and it was like, oh fuck, what? It's Kaiser Soze, what? It's Kevin Spacey as the killer. And here the same, because Tobin Bell was the villain in, I think it was season 2 of 24, and obviously he's a great villain. And obviously I had no idea he was in this. I had no idea he was in this because the Saw movies, they have all of the credits at the end. They just show the title and stuff. So yeah, that was also another kind of astonishing moment. Saw cost nothing, made a fortune, and as would become the norm, Saw 2, the next sequel, came out a year later. And this one opens with this one's obviously where the gore aspect starts to kick in a bit more. In fact, quite a lot more in this one. And this one is kind of, as you suggested, Pete, this is kind of the Big Brother house, but filtered through Saw.
Yeah.
And it's got another twist. All of the movies kind of have a big, massive revelation at the end. This one I always quite liked, and it amps up the gore really from the very start, doesn't it? Because it's got the kind of thing in the prologue, the Venus flytrap kind of thing. He's got to
death
get the
mask
key
thing.
out from behind his eyeball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is a staggering moment.
Yeah.
And it's a new director, so Darren Lynn Bousman. At this point, you do see a kind of distinction between the films and the directors. Darren Lynn Bousman did the next three, so he did 2, 3, and 4. He came back for Spiral, the most recent one, but definitely the more aggressive style of Saws 2, 3, and 4 does feel quite different, I think, to the first one, while at the same time still using those montages, still having that kind of flashback structure. What's your thoughts on Saw 2, Pete?
Well, as somebody who likes the torture porn genre, Stephen, I figured that you would most likely like 2, 3, and 4, and I, at BS, I actually quite like all the Saw films. Yes, you can tell who's directed it from the first one leading up into the later sequels. You can tell because each director's got their own sort of feel as to how they're doing the film, which I actually quite like. Would this series have gone as far if it was just the same director doing every single last film? Because surely it'd just be a case of copy and paste. You'd see the same thing. You get the same cinematography and stuff like that. And you think Saw 2 is where a detective and his team must rescue 8 people trapped in a factory this time from the serial killer known as Jigsaw. And this is where we see one of the Wahlbergs. Donnie Wahlberg. His first appearance turns up in this, and of course we see Shawnee Smith again, and Dina Meyer, who most people would most recognise from, I guess, Starship Troopers.
Poopers.
No, Troopers. Starship
Oh,
Troopers.
sorry. Yeah, she was in a bunch of stuff around this time, wasn't she? What happened to her? Is she all right? Is she keeping all right? Anyone checked?
I haven't been keeping track on her, but I hope she's doing well.
But Pete, Donnie Wahlberg, he's a dirty cop, isn't he? He's a dirty cop. He's like planting evidence
in
on
Blue Bloods. He's not that bad. He's misunderstood.
Blue Balls?
Saw 2. No, Blue Blood, which has Tom
Blood.
Selleck as the chief detective of. But we're talking about Saw 2. It's completely different.
Did you say Tom Selleck? Wow.
Yes, Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck is the chief captain of police of New York, I think it is. Or is it Chicago? Might be Chicago.
Oh, they're all the same.
No, they're not the same.
They're different.
Coasts, very different.
Good point, actually. Yeah, technically they're different. Yes, Donnie Wahlberg. Yeah, he's a bit of a bar steward, isn't he? Really.
Eric Matthews
is a dirty cop. And am I right in thinking the people locked in there are the people he put away under false pretenses, right?
Yeah, so you got one that's they're under false pretenses, but they're also, some of them are basically corrupt themselves.
Yes.
So you got one who's might have been selling drugs anyway, but he's sort of bugged the house more with even more drugs, so it makes them look bad. And then there's some other bits and pieces. So yeah, he's a dirty cop who takes things way too far, which it all comes back to bite him in the ass later on.
He's a cop on the edge.
Yeah, because he might be in a house full of people that he's put in jail, but his son is also in there as well.
Exactly.
Yes, that's the kind of the key point, isn't it?
I'm sure it's this one that they. Was it this film? Or was it Saw 3? It's either Saw 2 or Saw. I think it's Saw 2, where they didn't actually give the majority of the cast the final pages of the script.
Oh right.
So they had the whole idea of what was going to happen to the film, and you get to that key point where they're like, well, "What's happening now?" They didn't want to give it then till the actual day of filming because they didn't want any leaks to happen out. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like the whole idea they used to do it. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to print scripts on red paper because if somebody tried to photocopy it, it wouldn't photocopy properly, and it would just be blurry. So.
Yeah, I get that with Saw 2 because it does have another like massive twist at the end where you're just like slapping yourself in the face, going, "What the hell?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this twist. It's the
Yeah.
whole. It's not a live feed thing, isn't it? It's not. It's
Mhm.
actually pre-recorded, right?
And it's not
Um,
necessarily those people's game as such.
Yes,
It's
it's the
actually
wrong.
Eric's
Yeah,
game.
that's
And
right. Yeah,
he has to do the right things, and throughout the whole thing, like, Kramer is trying to talk to him, because they basically they find Jigsaw, don't they, quite early on, and kind of hold
yes,
him
he's
captive
captured.
whilst this
Yeah,
game is going on,
Mhm.
because they have to stay, because they have to then find the house, find the Matthews' son and stuff like that. And the whole while, Kramer is like, just wants to sit and talk to him. And even when he eventually gets Eric Matthews to sit down and talk to him, he doesn't listen. And that's what the whole thing was about.
that's the whole point. And that
Yeah.
is very massively a Seven thing as well, because just like
Yeah.
John Doe, they've got him,
Yeah.
and he's actually trying to help them in a sense. He's hinting about that he can save his son's life and everything.
Hmm.
But like you said, he can't be bothered to listen because he's such a wanker. Yeah, I like that. I like that the idea of capturing the villain at the start of the movie and then still building a story around it with
Yeah.
suspense. That's a terrific use of it. And he's great. He's got more screen time in this one, hasn't he? Tobin Bell.
Hmm.
Donnie Wahlberg. Wahlberg.
Wahlberg.
His name's
Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg, but to be honest, Wahlberg. Oh.
Oh, Dooney
It's
Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg of Hampshire's Wahlbergs.
The right stuff. He's the Donnie Wahlberg is also the mentally challenged guy at the start of The Sixth Sense, isn't he? He's the he's the guy that shoots Bruce Willis. He's a ghost in The Sixth Sense.
Oh, what the hell? Never film spoil. Is this? I'm not. This podcast keeps spoiling all the films.
Halloween Kills
Oh, what?
is really good. Yeah, no, it's
Not what you
good.
said.
There's this, yeah, I like the image of the they go back to the bathroom as well, don't they? Where you see the
Yeah.
rotting bathroom, yeah, which is cool. And it's
Yeah.
got the they must have used it as a tagline because it's got the line, "Oh yes, there will be blood," which at some point Jigsaw says.
Yeah, that is one of the taglines on. I think it's maybe the American poster, but one of the weaker taglines for this one was "We dare you." Again.
To see.
Oh.
We
That's
dare
it.
you
That's
again.
it. That's it. What? Oh, wow, great.
You had one job, Bill, from marketing, and he came up with that. You're fired, Bill. Yeah, that's crap.
There's a couple of this one. Was it new game, different pieces?
that's such a cop out. It's like saying new sequel now out. Saw 2.
And what's the other one? Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the torture dungeon. Here's Richard O'Brien with the new series of Crystal Maze.
Back to the bathroom. This one's got. I do think this one's got some really good nasty elements. Like one of my favorite things out of.
Should say, Stephen.
One of my favorite things is the needle pit, the dirty hypodermic needles or hypodermic needles. It's really unsettling, and it's Amanda that falls.
Would you prefer that they were clean?
Razors. Yeah. And the lady that has to stick her hand in the box with the razors, and she can't pull her arms back out again.
Yes. And
that bit's hilarious. Yeah. Why you just realised the hand got stuck? Why are you doing the other one as well? You bivering it. Never mind.
Put it in there, it'll stay like it. And it's got the Dario Argento style bullet through the keyhole bit as well.
Yes.
Yes. Don't worry, Dario Nakalovi's not there to take the bullets.
Oh, I miss her. I'm quite sad that she's not around. So yeah, these movies are very. I mean, the first one's influenced partly by Deep Red, but these movies are obviously made by horror fans. So you do see those little elements in there. It's a really good cast, though. I think Shawnee Smith is obviously really good in what would now, at this point, of course, she was a kind of throwaway, incidental survivor victim thing in the first one, but now she becomes the very first evidence of a bigger picture, really, in terms of Jigsaw's work. Which again was something that I had no idea was going to happen. Didn't see that one coming.
No, you think he's working alone?
Yeah, but it makes sense. You know, this is the ultimate answer, I suppose, to people watching the first one going, no, how could he have done all this on his own?
Yeah,
He must have had help. This is so unbelievable. And then as the series goes on, obviously that gets a little more elaborate. But yeah, no, Saw 2 is a really tidy sequel. I always thought it was really good, actually. It doesn't waste any time, does it, Sarah?
It certainly doesn't.
These movies are really intense, aren't they? Even watching them again, they're really fucking intense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a fun little fact for you.
Oh.
in the Thailand DVD of this, no blood is shown throughout the whole film.
What?
This
They've edited out all scenes with got loads of blood in it.
All the blood. Weird.
I don't know why.
It'd probably still have the same kind of similar impact, I guess, because they don't really like play on the fact of loads of blood. Because I suppose you've got like the furnace and stuff. You don't see an awful lot of blood and stuff in that. And the syringe, like the needle pit, there isn't a lot of blood. It's just really
it's unpleasant. Yeah.
ouchy and unpleasant. Yeah, I suppose it is
So
just
much
like
of it
the
is.
just
Maybe it's
the
a culture thing. I don't know.
the razors.
cult-
Yeah.
A culture thing or religion thing. I don't know.
Do Japanese films still blur out the pubic hair? Because they don't like pubic hair, do they? I'm a fan myself.
Category films. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's always blurry pubic hair. You sit down, watch a Japanese film, hoping for a bit of the, and then it's all blurry.
Ultraviolet.
But yeah, you can show all sorts of unpleasantness. You can have, throats being cut and innards coming out. But pubic hair, disgusting.
No.
How about here in Norfolk, we're bringing it back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I jotted down one of the lines.
That's what this podcast is about, oversharing with your friends.
Oh, yeah. I jotted down one of the lines from Saw 2, going back to, saying, this stems from deep red and that kind of stuff. When Kramer is taking Eric Matthews to the house, he says this just, really casually off the cuff. He's just driving along and he just goes, "It's the last house on the left."
I
like that. I was like, ding.
See what we did there.
A little sneaky wink there.
Yes. Oh, we'll explain later. We'll do the sock puppets acting it out, so you get it. Just have to get the eyes stuck back on that sticky one. Actually, did you see where I put that?
I don't want to see the sock puppet.
It doesn't have to go in your anal passage again.
Well, I didn't have to do it the first time either.
Where did Kenneth go? I've put Kenneth in the drawer somewhere.
Kenneth is actually my middle name, so Kenneth is still here.
So yeah. So Saw 2, Saw 2 is a genuinely good sequel, and again a great cinema experience. There was a sense of, oh wow, they've pulled one out of the bag with this one. And
unless of course, Stephen,
yes,
you don't like.
Don't even say it.
Torture porn.
Don't even say it.
Toilet porn. You never liked toilet porn. You won't like this. Toilet porn.
Toilet porn. The movie.
It's got skid marks in it. They haven't put any bleach down. Disgusting.
The great thing about the whole
you dirty, filthy toilet,
you dirty bastard. The great thing about the whole torture porn label is that, of course,
what are you bringing out for the horrible label?
It's just that it effectively, like with all of these things, don't see this, it's disgusting. It effectively helped everything. They might as well put it on the side of buses. Torture porn, new Saw movie. Oh fucking hell, Brenda, we'll have to go and see that one. It's a great selling point.
I think it was a System of a Down that had an album that was called Still This or something.
Who was it? Oh, System of a Down. Possibly.
I think it was System of a Down. Some new metal band had an album come out which was basically called Steal This.
Yes, it was them. The white cover, which literally just had that on it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was all about, because this is when the illegal version of like Napster and all those type of people are around at the time. And it was to cut down on the copywriting and that type of stuff. They just put an album out called that, and they found that people didn't actually pirate that actual album. They actually bought the album. Which is just funny. It's a bit like the thing with banks. It's the thing with the banks, I suppose. You used to have the pens. You could just people take the pens, but now I think it's Barclays maybe they have it where feel free to take this pen, and then people don't. I think it's like reverse psychology. They leave the pen there. So maybe you should do that with torture porn, Stephen. Just keep saying it until you believe it.
Got it. That's going to help actually with my
Father Christmas.
My health.
There's two things you wouldn't put together: torture porn and Father Christmas.
But he's up for a bit of the old in-out, sharpen it, etc.
Ultra-violence.
Oh, the old ultra-violence. So Saw 3 came out a year later, and these first three, I suppose, are connected by the fact that Lee Winnell was involved in writing the first two sequels, including this one. And there's a sense that they were actually, when you watch this, especially at the cinema, it's like, oh wow, so this is all over then. Because although there's at least one massive plot thread hanging at the end, killing off your antagonists in such a definitive fashion, and having the writer of the original saying, "Oh yeah, we're wrapping up with this one," even though we've been burned before with Friday the 13th final chapter, there was a sense that, oh Christ, I mean, presumably they're coming back, but how? Which was quite a cool thing actually. And Lee Winnell is also back in this one for some fresh flashbacks in his role from Saw, the original. But I always thought this was great. I mean, this was a great time actually for horror. I remember watching this around the same kind of year or so as watching Hostel and The Hills Have Eyes remake, which is really graphic, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, which is one of the most graphically violent of all those films. So there was a real swell of these gory films that you couldn't believe were actually in the cinema again. It'd been a while since we'd had this stuff.
Genre would you say that was?
Oh, horror.
Horror,
yeah.
No, horror's got loads of different subgenres. So there's slashers and there's like things like that. So this must have its own
these are in the category of non-wussy mall girls PG-13 horror movies. These are horror movies. These ones, yeah.
Okay, just upload the Wikipedia page. Non-wussy horror. There we go.
Yeah.
Updated.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. These movies as well, the marketing of these movies is all interesting. I think this is the one that had like some removed teeth on the poster. I think this was the one, 3 teeth lined up or something like that.
Yeah.
And I do remember
on wire or something.
Yeah, which is great. And there's, I don't think there's any teeth torture or teeth extraction in this one, although there is in later Saw films. And this is also the one where the trailer kind of bucks what people's expectations are with horror, and the trailer, from memory, I think actually I went to rewatch it again before watching this, is totally full of men screaming, so it's a whole bunch of male suffering, and in the movie that is kind of what happens a lot as well. This is mental. This was astonishing to watch in the cinema. This kind of opens with probably Mary Whitehouse's idea of what every horror film is like a series of really sadistic sequences all in a row. Somebody suspended on hooks. Dinah Mayer's back, but she has to put her hand in acid, and then she has her her rib cage ripped apart. And it kind of settles down. But even though this is the longest one, this is like almost 2 hours long. This one, Saw 3 really moves. It's pretty frenetically paced, while also filling in the backstory of Amanda, this kind of self-harming addict, and Jigsaw becoming a kind of dad figure to her and training her.
Getting sicker and sicker.
Yeah, Jigsaw's in a bed for much of this.
Getting really ill, yeah. I agree.
With his nurse lady.
Oh, Thingy, yeah. Yes, yeah, that's right. And she's got a thing on her head, and if she doesn't operate properly, her head explodes.
Yep.
That
kind of thing.
So a kind of battle royale.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. It's
shotgun collar. It's a shotgun collar.
Yeah.
Shotgun collar.
That's it. Yeah. This is an astonishing film. I mean, this maybe isn't the most graphic, but it's up there. And I remember being amazed that after being so strict for so long, that even though these films were slightly cut in America, and there was always the unrated version that came out on DVD, there's not a lot of difference really. It's really a question of frames in a lot of these films. So
that's not true, because that was it. I don't think it's this one. Maybe it's Saw 4 or 5, whichever one it was. You and me went to a Fright Fest event, and they showed the unrated version of it, and all you got to see really was just more of Jigsaw's penis. You didn't see his cock. Yeah, there's more. Yeah, that was it.
The great thing about America is that ultra violence is okay, but show too many thrusts in a shagging scene or show a cock, then that's gonna have to come out, especially if it's in a gay scene. I mean, we don't do gay sex in America, do we? Let's take that one out. Oh, the ultra violence, that's okay. Let's let that pass. Saw 3 is extraordinarily gory. It's got, I think from my mind, it's got the best trap of the series, which is the rack, the kind of perversion of the rack, and it does have the kind of scenes that are familiar from maybe that era of exploitation movies, with the naked blonde lady that's strung up and frozen. That reminded me of things like Don't Go in the House, obviously a totally different thing in the sense of in that one a naked person is strung up and set on fire, but that's the kind of thing you don't typically see in something that comes out of a kind of Hollywood studio, in this case Lionsgate. Even the Lionsgate logo by this stage was like a torture device, the grinding thing.
Yes. Before it became, oh look, it's a friendly lion going through a gate.
Yeah. There was so this period is really fascinating. I think as these become historical, I think these movies will probably get more credit. Like just like Hammer were dismissed as being disgusting in 1950s, and all those films that were seen as being too horrific then became classics. I think these movies will get a lot more credit as time goes on and people realize, oh, they're just a movie. But yeah, the bone cracking, limb twisting rack
Just
thing
keep
in this,
repeating.
it's not a movie. It's real. What's your verdict on
Real.
Saw?
Documentary.
Is it real? Yeah. What's your verdict on Saw 3, Sarah? How's it going?
Yeah, I really like Saw 3. Like you say, I didn't notice how much longer it was than the others, but you do kind of notice similarities to the beginning, because basically Saw 3 starts off with Eric Matthews, who was from the second one, who was shut in the bathroom from the first one. So you get to see him trying to get out of it, and he does a similar thing to Dr. Gordon in the first one, and he considers sawing his foot off, doesn't he?
Oh,
But in
yeah.
the end, he changes his mind and kind of goes, no, you know what, I think that might take too long, be a little bit too painful. I'll grab this really grotty toilet cistern and smash the shit out
That's
of my
horrific.
foot. yeah, in the first sequence, yeah. It's really quite gross. But yeah, it does have some, like you say, the rack is cringy, close-ups of bones poking out and stuff at the end. But I have to admit, I'm not a massive fan of the guy they chose to play the game, Jeff. So you don't realise.
Angus thingy.
Yeah. I wasn't a massive fan of him as a character in the movie, or his wife either, as the Doctor.
Oh yeah. Well, they're
but
not sympathetic at all.
No, but I just didn't really like Jeff at all, to be fair. And I don't think he did enough to try and help, especially not the first one with the freezing lady and stuff. I know he had to weigh up the pros and cons as to what they'd done to him in the past, but by the time he'd figured out who the guy in the rack was, you'd think he'd make more of an effort.
Yeah.
But then there was the really I did just suddenly remembered the middle game when he had the judge in the silo with the rotten pigs getting sprayed over him. That was pretty cool.
That's
You would
disgusting.
kind of have, it was gross. You would kind of have left him in there.
The pig fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty gross. I would probably have left him where he was. But he did leave it way too long with the guy in the rack. I know he did something really bad to him, but could you stand there and watch that?
Was he the drunk driver?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you saw flashbacks of him in pieces after what he'd done, so I don't quite know how the case was dealt with to have left Jeff the way that he was.
No, he's literally in pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've got more of it.
It's just another good one, good twist at the end, and yeah, you kind of think it's all over because the Doctor has to do surgery on John Kramer. She tries to drill into his skull and stuff like that, and he makes it through all that, and then at the end nobody survives. Basically, is how it's left, isn't it? Yeah,
it's really sour because there's the little girl that's left hanging, not literally, but she's kind of stuck, and you assume she's kind of fucked, not in that way. Yeah, so it's the bleakest, sourest possible ending. It's astonishing. But this was all of these movies, though, the ones we mentioned before, like Hostel and Chainsaw, the beginning, the Hills Have Eyes remake, they're all pretty much geared towards downbeat endings. Which hadn't been the thing in American horror for a while. The 70s is mostly what I associate the downbeat endings with, which is great. Again, it's why this whole sequence of films felt so refreshing. What's your thoughts on Saw 3, Pete?
I like it.
Fantastic. Well, it's a very canny insight into the inner sanctum of Saw 3.
There isn't much more else for me to say about
It's good,
Saw 3, because you both covered it. The only other thing I would say is this one does contain one of my favourite tracks. We'll discuss that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
The
brain
brains.
now if you want.
Oh, no, don't blow your load too soon. Yeah, I remember the brain surgery sequence goes on forever. It's again one of those sequences that it feels like it. And as always, the tabloids were doing things with Saw 3. I remember like, 3 people fainted at this film, which is very much in the line of great publicity, like in the 70s with The Exorcist. Someone died.
East End newspaper.
yeah, it was. Yeah, God blimey, Mary Poppins, someone was sick in the cinema. And of course, these things never actually happen in real life.
Watch this film, get sick back free.
Yeah. So Lionsgate were coining it in. I remember Saw 3 making like over $100 million. It was like the biggest one. They do fade off after a while. I know Saw 6 and Saw 7 made far less money, but obviously these things were being cranked out on pretty low budgets, even as far deep in as that. So they're always profitable. Saw 4 a year later again is obviously all about the what do we do now conundrum. We've killed off
the
Jigsaw,
final chapter. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, and there is the sense for this one that, oh god, we got to somehow get this going again. But considering the short time frame they have, they do an admirable job. I mean, it's back to the well, but it's a pretty good one. I do quite like Saw 4, and it does like with the brain surgery and the liquefied pig stuff and all that stuff in Saw 3. It does have a nice idea of the gross out stuff that people find uncomfortable to watch but can't look away at the same time, like the stuff we've said, like with a full frontal shot of naked Jigsaw at the start and a very extended autopsy sequence with more brain sawing. And it's built it's disgusting, isn't it? And built into it is very knowing stuff, like the tape that they get from his stomach that says, you think it's all over just because I'm dead. That's exactly what it is.
Where's Nick Hancock in it?
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, he's the star. Tobin Bell had gone at this point, so they got him instead.
The thing's all over. Here's now.
So this one is
only
good
British
fun.
Listeners are going to get that.
I think it's big in Venezuela. Apparently, they think it's all over. It's just started showing over there on BBC Venezuela. So that's good timing.
They think it's all over. Oh shit.
Oh no, there's another one. Yeah. And this one has one of the most. I mean, this one's really savage as well. It does go a bit tamer with Saw 5 and 6, but I think the series peaks in terms of savagery with 3 and 4, because this one has the astonishing tug of war at the start with one guy whose lips are sewn together and the other guy's eyes are sewn up, and they've got to somehow instruct each other to get out of this ridiculously contrived and elaborate thing. And it's relentlessly
mean. They just spoke about it between them to be all right, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, so this one is a strange one. This one I remember at the cinema being a bit like, and eventually we kind of figured it out. But this one is basically happening concurrently with 3, so you don't realize it. The twist is that this is actually all happening alongside the events of 3, with the autopsy stuff happening later. So effectively, we go no further in the timeline by the end of Saw 4 because we're back at the end of Saw 3, and we still don't have a resolution yet for the little girl that's been stuck in the bucket.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite clever. She's
missing a lot of school.
These things are happening in a very tiny time frame in a lot of cases, apart from the flashbacks, obviously, which there's a lot of those. But I quite like the structure of this one. I think it's, considering what they had to work with, they had the pressure of knocking out another one. And they don't have the luxury of bringing back Tobin Bell as a Jason in number 6 kind of zombie. So, yeah. What do you think about Saw 4, Pete?
Saw 4 is this the one where people seem to think it's the weaker one, isn't it? Is it this one or is it number 5? One of these two people sort of go, it's not really sort of losing its charm type of thing. I'm sure it's this one. But this one has got one of the deaths in it I actually really like, which is the Peeping Tom one, the guy who's strapped to the bed.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't matter what he does, he's gonna get destroyed. Doesn't matter what he does. Yeah. So I was like, he's one of those deaths in a scene. Just sort of sit there and go, yeah, I'm quite happy just to watch this. It's fine. So
yeah, he's a rapist, isn't he?
Yes. So out of all of the obviously each film's got its own people in it. You kind of think, yeah, I don't think much of you. But he's out of all of the majority of people, he's the one I'm like, yeah, let's get rid of you.
Mm.
This is the one where the guy keeps finding the little notes everywhere, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Glad to know
Yeah,
that I wasn't able to watch it.
Well, it's the partner of Donnie Wahlberg's character, is it? Lyric Bent
Yeah,
is the
Riggs.
almost sympathetic character this time. I mean, most of the characters in these things are totally horrible, but he's probably one of the more sympathetic ones, I guess. Old Lyric, and it's built around that. So again, because of the time frame, Donnie Wahlberg's fate is still in the balance, and they've only just discovered Dinah Mayer's body, haven't they? At the start of this, the SWAT team is there, and we're setting the scene for the fact that they figure out that neither Amanda or Jigsaw could have been responsible for certain deaths. So there's a build up to the fact that we know there's another accomplice there, which I think is quite clever. And a clever thing as well is the person that turns out to be the latest disciple is tied to the chair for most of the film, which is Detective Hoffman, who you've kind of written out as being a possibility, but eventually, obviously, is him. What was your thoughts on Saw 4, Sarah?
I really like Saw 4. I like it a little bit better than 3, I think. Just because, again, it's just the really clever way of doing things. You know, they're trying to play on people trying to save people. That's basically what Saw 4 is all about, isn't it? He tries to get Riggs to save people, but is it the right thing to do? Oh, and one of the traps in there is like for any anyone with really long hair, probably more like women than men, but anyone with really long hair, there's a really horrible trap in
that's
that.
nasty, yeah.
Where
the scalping scene.
Yeah, the scalping scene where the woman gets her hair kind of like wrapped into a machine and it's pulling and it does like pretty much like rip her entire scalp off. That's really quite cringy for most women, I think.
That's really truly, yeah. That's hard to watch.
Bet you found that one terrifying, didn't you, Stephen? Watching that one?
Yeah, that was horrifying. As someone with extremely elaborate hair goes, that's
Well,
that's
stop
cringy.
braiding it like Daenerys from bloody Game of Thrones. You'd be alright, wouldn't you?
And I agree with you.
I'll get to work. I'll get to work soon. I'll finish this braid.
I'm a much better actor than she is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pete, on the rapist guy. He totally deserved it, and yeah, there was definitely no.
It's an eyeball. He gets a proper eye gouge.
Riggs like pretty much just leaves him to die, which is kind of cool.
That's what I liked about it. Is the cop kind of the cop is, like you said, it's sympathetic kind of one towards everything, but even he gets to that point where it's all like,
even like, nah,
you got yourself in this situation, deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the couple that are pinned together.
Every major artery.
Yeah, through the guy. So it only mean that one of them will survive, and the woman pulls everything out. She pulls all of the rods out, doesn't she? Bar one. So Riggs has to help her do that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I just love the concept, especially at the end, that he was never meant to be there.
Yeah.
He should never have walked into that room.
That's right.
And
yeah.
If he had just left it, everyone would still be alive.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite traps is in that one, so I'm not going to say too much more about that bit.
It's really impressive, actually. It's really mad paced, isn't it? This one as well. It just keeps going and going. And that's even with the flashbacks, which shows like Mrs. Jigsaw's drug clinic, which is very much about his outlook, isn't it? Cherish your life is the motto of her drug clinic, which is
how she lost her baby as well. But that is kind of the introduction. We get a proper introduction to Jigsaw's wife, which isn't always the best thing because neither of us particularly like her, do we, Stephen?
No, I mean at this stage it's okay because she's not there much, but actually turns out to be a rubbish actress. And eventually I do grow tired of these flashbacks. Okay, we know the thing about the baby. You don't have to remind us in the next one. Although then again, the series is kind of like a TV series. Because if you turned up at Saw 4, you wouldn't have a clue of kind of know what's going on. So I suppose they are inserting stuff to remind people on the unlikely event that you'd go and see Saw 4 without having any knowledge of the first three. It is kind of previously on Saw. It's that rubbish actress playing the wife again. But in this stage, it's okay. Yeah, she's from cheerleader camp, isn't she? I'm sure she was better in cheerleader. She must have lost some ability as she got older. But yeah, no one cares about her. But yeah, it really moves. And you're right, the deaths. One of my favourites, apart from the hair trap, which is a great one because it plays on everybody's kind of thing where you hear stories of that person at your workplace that years ago got their tie caught in the shredder and things like that. You know, it's he leaned too forward into the lathe. I like that. That's extremely unpleasant to watch.
Where are you working? You working in the 1890s printing press?
This is just
Yeah.
Yes, it was a tough time, man.
Paper cuts.
I like the one where the person has to lean forward into the thing of knives. They have to put their face into the blades to release themselves. Astonishing.
That's one of the first. That was one of his first ever traps, wasn't it?
Yes, because that's a retro. Yeah,
that was Cecil that they made put his face in, who was the one that killed his wife's baby.
That's right. Yes, of course. That's
what it was that then set him off on his little mission.
It's that stuff's good, and it is good. The best thing about the flashbacks, of course, is that Tobin Bell gets a lot more to do, and he does bring a huge amount of presence to those scenes, and he becomes ultimately a very kind of sympathetic person that by his own definition isn't a murderer, because he kind of gives people the choice, which at this stage gets a little bit loose.
It's a bit far-fetched.
I agree with him. He gives everybody a choice. It's fine. So yeah, it's a nice little way of getting yourself out of it. Okay.
Choose life. I like the incidental details quite good. I like the idea of, and not just in this one, but I think maybe this is the first one where I noticed it, where you see magazines with Jigsaw on the cover, because you realise that obviously he's a kind of a celebrity at this point, and you kind of find more about his background in engineering and things like that. There's also a great moment which fits into the category, which reminds me of Halloween 3, which Pete and I have often talked about, the moment where they say they talk about the big stone from Stonehenge that they need for their big plot. We had a hell of a time getting it here. You know, what plane did you use to get this? There's a moment in Saw 4.
It wasn't a plane, Stephen. I keep telling you this. It's not a plane.
He teleported it. There's a moment in Saw 4.
He carried it on his back. Swam the channel, got over there.
It's in the Guinness Book of Records. Where I think it's to do with the fat rapist guy in the motel, where somebody says, "How did this thing get into a hotel room undetected?" You know, it's like, how did this elaborate series
contraption?
Massive.
The contraption. That makes more sense. I thought it meant the guy.
There's a great resume of the Donnie Wahlberg thing where he spends most of the film kind of slipping and sliding on an ice block and eventually gets decapitated by two massive blocks on either side of his head. I thought that was impressive as well.
Yes. This has a terrible tagline though.
What's the taglines?
This one is, "It's a trap." Yes, that's right. Admiral Akbar from Star Wars wrote the tagline for this one. It's a trap.
That's it's unbelievable, isn't it? They at least the marketing guys had they had a year to think of a strapline.
Only true Star Wars fans will get that reference. Not these. Oh, I watch Star Wars.
And watch The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So a year later, and Saw 5.
He's from Return of the Jedi, you must know.
Is it? Oh, I like Return of the Jedi. I'm still on board with Star Wars then.
Yeah, it's the guy who's like kind of like a shrimpy.
It's a trap
type guy. Yeah.
It's good he was in charge of the posters.
Well, this one at least.
So Saw 5. So Saw 5 is the one where they got two people with the same floppy haircut, both dressed in black. They have a fight at one point, and it's really hard to tell who's who. Saw 5, I think, opens and closes really well, but the stuff in between is a real drag. Like, it has a fantastic, and it's got a proper gothic storm and stuff. It has a fantastic Pit and the Pendulum trap at the very start, which is proper gory, and it's got intestines flying all over the shop. And we're finally resuming from the end of Saw 3, where we see Hoffman, who, of course, the audience knows is the disciple of Jigsaw, and he becomes a hero because he rescues the kid, but nobody in the film really knows. So the whole plot gears right now are about the quite boring guy, what's his name, Peter, from the previous film, gradually piecing together the fact that Hoffman's a bad guy. And Peter does this by spending most of the not this Peter. Peter does this by spending most of the film talking out loud to himself in dark rooms. As he very slowly and boringly.
To be fair, that's pretty much it. That is me. Yeah.
Well, maybe this trap was mumble.
Well, maybe I make myself a cup of tea. Nobody else is going to ask you to want a cup of tea. Well, oh, fine, I've got to do it myself then. Oh, I suppose you're washing up as well.
Okay. So I do think this is the one that we go to think. But
yes, I'll do it in a minute. Wait.
Where there's a sense of they're struggling a little bit because they've got a kind of collection of 5 people, including Julie Benz from Buffy. I think she was also in Dexter. Julie Benz is one of them in what looks like a bad wig, and they've got collars on, and it's a fairly kind of humdrum trap that they're in. And they're all connected to a building that caused people to die, and they're all involved in city politics, aren't they? They're all kind of this corrupt, like city planners. There's a trust fund guy. There's a real estate person, a journalist. So really bad people in this one. Not pedos, much worse. What are your thoughts on Saw 5, Sarah?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, with all that you just said. To be fair, I find the games themselves that they set up for these guys, again, they're more obvious than they are with some of the others. Is this one of the main mass groups of people they've had? They had obviously like the House of People in 2, and then they're not so many big groups of people up until then. You kind of figure out way before then that it was supposed to be done, they were supposed to work together. That was the whole premise. Yeah, and they don't actually figure that out until you get to the last trap when they have to give blood, and they realise, there's only 2 of us left now, because everyone they killed off the weaker person as the game has gone, or the people that they've singled out to be the weaker person. When they actually get to the end, they suddenly figure out, oh crap, the key to the padlock in the first one that would have sent them backwards into razor blades and decapitated them is the same key for everyone. They all thought they had to break in and get their own keys to undo the padlock, when they didn't realise that if one person had got the key and then handed it to the others, they would have all have escaped and stuff like that. They don't figure that out until the end.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious to other people watching that that's what was intended, but it does make for some cool kills and stuff. The journalist that just gets blown up by the nail bombs and is just splattered over the floor when they crawl out of the tunnels and stuff is cool. The bit where they have to give blood and basically just stick their hands in saw blades, and basically, by the end of it, they've kind of sawed up to their elbows.
Literally up to their elbows in stuff.
That's kind of cool. But you kind of, Hoffman is kind of a very dodgy character, isn't he? You kind of wonder to yourself how people haven't realised how shifty he is. He gets shiftier, more and more shifty as the movie goes on.
He's like the paramedic in the Friday the 13th movie where it isn't Jason. Because I like the actor. The actor's doing a good job, but you're right. How does nobody notice he's the shiftiest bastard going? Yeah,
he is really quite shifty. But I do love the pendulum.
That's great.
At the beginning of the movie. That's great stuff.
Yeah, that's actually really well done. The whole movie, as good as that, it would have been fantastic. Yeah.
It has Mark Rolston as well. From
he's in the
Aliens.
next 2. Yeah, he's in this and Saw 6. I don't think he comes back for 7. Yeah, Mark Rolston's really good. He was in an episode of X-Files, which is a really good actor. Underrated.
Wasn't he in Weapon 2 as well?
Possibly. Lethal Weapon 2, of course, great exploding toilet gag.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, they really were too old for that. They're a bit too old for that shit now.
A bit that shit would be too old to be flying around now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even though Strom, the FBI agent that goes around talking to himself, spends all that time
Mumble.
and mumbles to himself, he finally figures it out.
Does. Hilariously.
But he still gets it wrong. Doesn't he have to give himself a tracheotomy at the beginning of the film
Yeah,
as
because
well?
he's got a head in a box of water. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Which
that was
is
kind of clever.
yeah, that was quick thinking on his part. Unusually quick thinking for him.
Yeah, that's the quickest
Um,
thinking he's done throughout the whole movie. And then it takes him like about, I don't know, 3 months to figure out the rest.
Although it does have oh, sorry.
No, you're all right. Carry on.
It does have, and he is quite a boring character, but as well as the beginning being really cool, the ending of this is really cool, which is him
Yeah.
being crushed in the shrinking room, and you see the bones in his arms cracking open.
Oh yeah.
And my
Clinky.
favourite bit,
The glass coffin.
the glass
the glass
coffin,
coffin.
where Hoffman escapes in a glass coffin in a kind of James Bondish fashion,
Yeah.
just before the room disappears.
It goes kind of James Bond and Star Wars at the same time. Like when
Yeah.
they're in the bowels of the garbage disposal. That's what
Which
that
is
room reminds me of.
astonishing. Yeah. So
Well,
I do think, yeah.
As you mentioned, the end. This also has another. I don't know who did the taglines for these films, so they did really bad because this tagline is, "You won't believe how it ends." Yes,
Well,
that is the tagline that was on the poster.
yeah, that's just poopy, isn't it? That's not great.
No,
Um,
no.
So that was Saw 5. So we're getting through it. Saw 6, Saw V1. Yeah, so Saw 6 I always thought was a return to form. And it does have some early on it has some fantastic grim shots of like bits of what's his name? Strom. It's Peter Strom.
Yes.
It does have some
Yeah.
bits, some glimpses of like bits and pieces of him hanging around, like the squished Peter, which is fantastic. Saw 6 is the credit crunch Saw movie. You know, this is around the time of whatever economic disasters were going on at that stage. It's very much about that. And it does have a fantastic opening. I don't know about you guys, but I think the fantastic opening of the Shakespearean idea of having to hack off a pound of flesh or something to save yourself. So the girl is kind of uselessly trying to cut off her arm with a tiny knife, and then she sees a meat cleaver and go, oh, actually. And a fat bloke this is really quite harrowing. I find this quite one of the most graphic things from the whole series. The fat guy is kind of slicing off a chunk of his own belly,
Bits of his belly, yeah.
and then they have to weigh the stuff to see if they qualify to survive. And she does, doesn't she? She survives it because her arm is obviously heavier than some of his fat. So I like that. That's a great thing. And then this Saw movie is a real departure because for the first time in what seems like the entire series, after the opening and after the kind of catch up with Squished Peter and stuff, it actually has a glimpse of daylight after being stuck in this kind of greenish, shitty, murky bathrooms, and almost the entire series is in these very underlit, murky, disgusting interiors. Torchlit 7-ish interiors, but this has daylight. It has like scenes in the insurance company office, and the whole premise, amusingly, I think I quite like this idea is it's all about this sleazeball and his team that are weaseling out of paying up insurance claims by using some undeclared existing medical condition from their customers. And this guy's got a whole team that are looking for loopholes and excuses so why they don't have to pay out people that are in a terrible way and have to use their health insurance. So this is the movie that's an angry kind of cry against Jigsaw's angry cry against the healthcare system in the US. But it came out at the right time when things like mis-selling insurance and all that stuff was making big headlines around the world. Saw 6 then, Pete. Yeah, that's right. 6. What do you think of Saw 6? Saw 6.
Yeah. It's a sequel.
Oh, you're damn right. It sure is.
I'm trying. You said there's a credit crunch thing. I was trying to remember if this was about the time there was a writer's strike as well. Somewhere around this time there was a writer's strike in Hollywood. But yeah, So this is the one with the. So they get 6 envelopes, and one of them's his.
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah,
with his health insurance policy.
6 people on a merry-go-round thing, a carousel type thing. Yeah.
Yes. And the only thing I can really remember about this at the moment is that they was going to bring Carrie Ellis back for it. That's the only thing I remember about at the moment.
Oh, he's almost back. Not in this one. Yeah.
No,
Carrie.
but they was going to bring him back for this one, but they couldn't make it. So that's what I remember about this one at the moment.
It's a good one. I mean, it's got a lot of. At this stage, the flashbacks are a little kind of so you get to see more reminders that yes, Jill lost the baby. We saw that last time, so we'll just see that again. But you do get to see things like actually also this is the one where Jill spends the whole film preparing to open a box that was mentioned in the previous one that Jigsaw has bequeathed her, isn't it? So there's a lot of stewing over this box that doesn't get open until the next film. So there's about 3 films where she's going to but not quite manages to open a box, which isn't the most exciting part of it, but the rest of it I think is really good. You get to see Amanda and Hoffman working on the rack trap, I think it is, from Saw 3. There's a few recurring characters from the previous ones, but mostly, of course, it's about the whole idea of Hoffman eventually getting fingered for being the latest Jigsaw-ish killer, and new Amanda scenes as well. So Shawnee Smith has some new scenes fleshing out the flashbacks. But I do really like in this one, out of everything, I do really like the really intense, not necessarily that gory, but really intense sequence where 6 people are on the merry-go-round thing and 4 have to die with these kind of strategically placed shotguns. I think that sequence is really great, actually. And I like the premise as well.
There's a lot of screaming, isn't there? Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. I definitely enjoyed the games more on this one than I have done on previous ones, because even though like William, the main CEO of the health insurance company, is an utter bastard, you can actually see him, you kind of feel sorry for him because he tries his best. Unlike Jeff, who didn't really try very much at all, this guy actually really does try to help his members of staff and his lawyer, but unfortunately he pretty much fails every attempt. But there's another one that has another massive twist at the end, because you think they've kidnapped his wife and kid, because he mentions that he has a family.
Yes.
Does he mention that he has a family?
Possibly, yeah.
I think he says that he has family, but he doesn't actually say he has a wife and a kid. And you think, previously at the beginning of the movie, he's talking to his wife, but he's not. Because it turns out that the other person is his family, and the wife and kid that they've kidnapped actually have a debt against him.
Yeah.
And they get to choose whether he lives or dies once he's made it to the end. That was a cool,
because the dad
idea.
The dad has died, right? Because of
because of him and his stupid policies and not paying out and stuff. Yeah, that was really quite clever. But yeah, there is a lot of other stuff going on with Hoffman when they're trying to figure out, or they're pretty much almost caught up to him. So he makes a lot of mistakes outside of the game, doesn't he? He kills Perez and Erickson. Does he do that in that one?
Kills a whole bunch of people. Yeah, he stabs him in the throat. Yeah, they find out. They do a thing of his voice on the tapes.
That's it. And just as they find out that it's him, he goes nuts and kills him. And yeah, like you say, they do a few more flashbacks into Jill's pregnancy and stuff like that, and you then realise that Amanda was part of that as well. She was kind of partially responsible for her losing the baby, and how Hoffman knew this and he's blackmailing her and stuff. Yeah, it all gets quite in depth, a little bit hard to follow at the times, but then you have the really cool games of William being stuck where he is, trying to guide people through and trying to decide who lives or dies. I thought the game where he had his young lad who was like a clerk, still had quite far to go in his life, on one pedestal with barbed wire and stuff around his neck, and then next to him was his secretary, who was an older lady, and he had to decide between the two of them, and he he chose to save the lady. In fact, he did that in most of them, didn't he? Because the two people he saved on the carousel were female employees.
Yeah. Yeah, the workplace based stuff is quite good, isn't it? I think that works really well. And you do end up rooting for the guy that you initially don't at all. So yeah, I think it's a really good one.
You kind of hate him, like you say, you hate him to start off with, and you kind of root for him, and then at the end you're kind of like, well, you brought it on yourself type thing.
Yeah.
Probably didn't deserve to die the way that he did, but it was kind of, in the eyes of the family, kind of deserved.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where it puts you in that position. Yeah, it's cool. It's got the cool ending where Hoffman is forced to wear the bear trap, and he survives it, but with a kind of messed up face, which is quite a nice, nasty moment, and gives him a bit more character when he has to stitch up his face in the next one.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I really liked it. I thought it was a return to form. So this is the last one in the yearly ones. So there's a bit of a break after the next one, which is Saw 3D, and this was in that period where loads of stuff was coming out in 3D, even rubbish stuff like Clash of the Titans remake. All this stuff was coming out. My Bloody Valentine, which is really good in 3D. This one I seem to remember worked really well in the cinema in 3D. And when you watch it flat on TV, you can kind of see all the gimmicky bits where things and intestines are being thrown at the camera, as you get in these gore movies that are in 3D. So Saw 3D is the one with the sadly late Chester Bennington glued to a car seat and having to kind of rip his back off to try and save his friends in a junkyard, which is one of the best sequences. And this is also one of the goriest ones. This has some proper kind of Lucio Fulci style eyeball poking and a lot of a massive body count with the intestines flying at the camera and stuff like that. And it's another one that kind of changes tack by opening with a big daylight sequence, a big public sequence, which is unusual for this series, where a bunch of people are gathering around filming a trap that's happening in a shop window, which I think was a good idea. But this is a really fun one. I think this one moves really well. It's got some good ideas, like the idea of a jigsaw survivors group, and indeed a guy that cashes in by pretending to be a survivor.
That kind of threw me to start off with, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that trap. And then the more you went on about it, I was like, no, I bloody don't remember that. I was like, do I know who this person is? That's just me being a bit thick. Even though I watched them so closely together, I was still like, is he? Have I missed something? It's just me.
No, it's easy. Well, they do blur into one, but this one is fast paced. It's got a lot of gore. It's Jill's last stand, so Jill is heavily involved in this one, but not so much that she gets in the way. And eventually, she gets the bear trap on her face, and you get to watch her face explode in 3D. So that's good. I quite like how mean Hoffman has got by this stage. Hoffman is extremely brutal and unpleasant in this one, and this is his last, or almost his last kind of stand. But yeah. What's your thoughts on the Saw 7, Pete? Saw 3D, rather.
I never actually saw this in the cinemas. I don't know what the 3D elements
2D
was like. Yeah, 2D for me, I'm afraid. I did like the poster to it. The poster is, or one of the posters is Tobin Bell's character, and it's got like scaffolding at the side of it. So look, it's kind of saying, this is him building up to his final game kind of thing. But isn't this the one where his wife goes into protective custody?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much all. This one and the next one I haven't really watched very many times, to be honest. So I don't really have much to say on either of these.
It's a good one.
They're all yours.
It's a good one, isn't it? It's got a lot going on. And it's got the man, but it's got the man called horse style thing where the fraud guy has got the hooks in his pectorals.
Yes.
That's quite an impressive sequence. And he has to take out 2 of his teeth because what's on the back of the teeth? Like some codes or something?
He's got some numbers, yeah.
Yes.
Some numbers are written up there. There's another one where he's put into a game where he has to try and save his friends. And he does a very, very bad job of it all. Because, he was the one that said he was the survivor and I like the fact that he said, he'd had to shove these hooks into his pectoral muscles and stuff like that, and that was actually one of the games that he had to do. Yeah, on
That's
the tape,
right.
they're like, well, you'll be familiar with this one because you've said you've done this one before, so you shouldn't have a problem knowing what to do. Kind of
Yes.
thing. I like the way Saw 3D starts as well because you get to see Dr. Gordon again, who you haven't
Yes.
seen since the first one. You always wondered, as he crawled his way out of the door, did he ever make it out? Nobody ever knows. You actually finally find out what happened to him in the last one.
Yes, that's the sense of the reason, even though I don't think this was really intended as the last one, but there is a sense of wrapping things up, and it totally comes full circle, doesn't it, with him back to the bathroom at the end. I remember thinking, it's strange that Carrie-L was in the start of this, but he doesn't seem to be in the movie now. He's not involved in the twist, is he?
Yeah,
Couldn't
that is
possibly.
true. It's a bit of a giveaway, I suppose.
Great to see him, and amusing to see the idea of him crawling away in this new footage and cauterizing his gory stump on the pipe or whatever it is, and ultimately getting nursed back to health by Jigsaw, recruited as yet another assistant. It's quite good. I think it's fun to have it go full circle, and it's good to see Carrie Elwes again. Actually, who in the documentaries behind the scenes and stuff comes across as a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Good old Carrie Elwes. Yeah. So that was number 7, and then there's a 7-year break, and other stuff has come along. The Paranormal Activity movies kind of hogged the Halloween release date in the US, at least. So different franchises were making more money at this stage, and there's a sense of they wanted to rest it. So it came back in 2017 with Jigsaw, which was new writers, new directors. Actually, the directors were the Spierig brothers, who are really talented. They did Undead and Daybreakers, which I always liked.
Cool. Yeah, I like
the
that.
Sam Neill movie. These New Zealand or Australian, I can't remember. New Zealand maybe. But they're really good, and there is a sense that this movie looks quite different, and they kind of deliberately went for a vibe closer to the original, more kind of thriller, less driven by the gore. There's some gore in this, but there's a sense of they wanted to reset things and change things up a bit. And it does come across, I think it does have a fresh feel to it. It's got car chases and more daylight stuff. It's more action driven, I suppose. Although it's still got one of those structures where it's flitting between different scenarios, including, I suppose, the central trap and the cop that's investigating what seems to be a Jigsaw copycat. What's your thoughts on the 8th Saw movie, Jigsaw, Sarah?
I really like Jigsaw. That was the one that I remember the most because I did go and see that at the cinema on Halloween when it first came out. I really liked it. It kind of it brought it all kind of back, and it has a lot of familiar stuff to it. But once again, it has a great twist at the end. Once again, I didn't see it coming, but it might have been more obvious to other people. I quite liked the trailer for Jigsaw as well, with the body bucket head hanging off the bridge after the first game and stuff. But yeah, this is 10 years after Kramer has died, isn't it? I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's dead and buried, and now another Jigsaw killer copycat has arisen, who you then find out in the flashbacks and stuff that he's another Jigsaw apprentice. He's had loads, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So you kind of think to yourself, why bother? You just get all these people to just do it for you. But I thought it was quite a clever way of doing it, because the person that turned out to be the killer and stuff spent the whole movie just being completely neutral and seemed like a normal person. I thought he was, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some.
And then yeah, they have some kind of bits about him saying how he was an army soldier and in PTSD and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
So you kind of think to yourself, okay, maybe something's going on with him, but they kind of steer you towards, because he's a mortician, I believe, and then
Yes.
his assistant Eleanor is a bit of a like Jigsaw fan. So
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
yeah, she kind of reminds me of is it like one of the people in CSI or something like that?
Yeah,
She
she's got her own
reminds,
museum of jigsaw traps, hasn't she?
yeah, and she kind of like makes replicas of ones that he's made or previous ones that he hasn't actually used and stuff like that. So she kind of like throws everyone off the scent thinking it's her. When you, in retrospect, you think to yourself, well, it couldn't have been her that would have set it up because it would have been too difficult to lob. Like same with Jigsaw in the first one, saying you need two people to like prop people up and stuff like that. But they don't seem to think like that, and they seem to still think that it is her. But yeah, it does have it has some gory bits. I like, again, it's like a group game, but it kind of has a dodgy timeline going on with it that I kind of
Yeah.
found hard to keep up with to start off with, until, as usual, you get to the end and you're just like, oh, I get it
Yeah.
now. But yeah, had some good things. I like the buckets on the heads in the first game. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like the laser collar.
The laser collar at the end is also awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the backfiring shotgun, that was
Yeah.
clever. That actually, I think that made me jump when I watched it at the cinema.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good fun.
There is some very good traps.
Me and Stephen seen this trailer God knows how many times, because it's showing at Fright, not the actual film, but the trailer was showing at Fright Fest, if you remember, Stephen.
Before
Oh,
every
yeah.
movie.
And we must have saw the trailer at least 30 times. And
By the end of it, you're like, nah, can't be bothered.
yeah, well, because Fright Fest isn't like how it used to be. Just get a whole mixture of people as opposed to seeing the same sort of people all the time. Every time the trailer comes on, me and Steve was, I'll see it the first couple of times. That's pretty good. And then there's a bit in it where people, is it Billy rolls in, doesn't he, on it?
Oh, yeah.
And then people start, ha ha ha, that's funny, because the guy says, nope, not for me. And of course the people in the audience start laughing. Me and Steve would have seen it about 5 times by now within the first day, and
oh, it's horrible
because there's new people keep coming in as ha ha ha, and he's sitting there groaning. Oh god.
Yeah.
oh, they having a good time with this.
Yeah, fine. But, I mean, yeah, it's an entertaining film, and I in a way it's not a reboot, but it kind of introduces the character to a whole new audience, because it's basically, it seems like it's really, a good nearly 10-year gap between them. So that is introducing a whole new audience into it. So if you're not familiar with it, kind of gives you all the hits that you remember. We remember from the previous films, and it introduces a new audience to it who kind of go, oh, right, okay, now I want to find out more about this character.
Yeah, that you wouldn't necessarily have to know.
I think it's the right
all of
way.
The films beforehand. Yeah,
I'd say it's the right way of doing a sequel / reboot type thing.
Yeah.
Because you give the nods to the audience that know it, and it introduces people who haven't seen it before, and they can still watch it and go, oh, I know what's going on here. As opposed to some of those films where they do a reboot and then they kind of do it where they make it so the audience that have seen it before knows what's going on, but any new audience walk into it and they go, I ain't got a clue what's going on.
I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, I liked it, and I think this is you mentioned the lady. Doesn't she create? Is it a grain mill type trap? Is it this one? There's like a grain mill and there's stuff trapped up on the thing. Is it this one?
There is the grain mill, because they get all the razor blades and the saw blades and the pitchforks thrown at them as well. And then she kind of recreates the motorcycle one, which has the glowing red spiral and the brake handle down the bottom, and the guy has to kind of go down the middle.
Oh yes.
Clever stuff.
Yeah, so I said because a lot of people moan about these films are sick, and people that like these films have a twisted mind. well, I'm just going to say fair enough. Okay, I have a twisted mind. That doesn't bother me because I like the aspect, the psychological aspect of it. People kind of put themselves in the situation unwillingly. They wouldn't know that they would end up being captured by somebody, obviously. But the situations they're in, they could quite easily get themselves out if they just learn to either work together or think other than themselves. Because in the end of it, Tobin Bell's character doesn't actually kill anybody. Could he get done? Could he actually be done for murder? That's debatable because he doesn't actually kill anybody. Other people kill themselves.
Yeah,
so
it would just be kidnap, probably.
Yeah, kidnap and I guess attempted murder of some sort because he does kind of implement the trap. You can't kind of go, ha, it's just a weekend plaything. It's a weekend hobby.
Yeah. Most people, if they do, when they do make it out of the traps, are kind of like maimed in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but they have
still alive.
Yeah, and they sort of go, maybe I need to change the aspect of my life. Or in some cases, hey, I like that kind of rolling through the traps. Maybe I will turn into that as well, and maybe little traps for everybody to join in. I had so much fun. Now you can too. Bring the family.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
It's kind of
did you
watch
it at cinema? Sarah said she did. Did you watch it at cinema?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, every single one. Yeah, up to Spiral, all of them I saw in the cinema. Yeah, there was a tradition. And this one was really good because I think the gap helped a lot because it was like, oh, we're back in this again, and this is slightly different, but it's kind of the same at the same time. As you said, it's open enough to get new people on board, but it's got the ingredients, all the stuff we expect, including the music for the big reveal at the end. Yeah, it was nice, and I didn't figure it out. There's some clever misdirection in this one, and it almost convinces you that, oh, hang on, is he actually alive? Is Jigsaw alive again? But then they do the exhumation, and then the time frame being like many years earlier that we're watching the first apprentice being groomed. Yeah, it's cool, and I think it did a decent job considering we're 8 films in at this stage. There's not many franchises that are still as good as this are this far in.
This is one of the ones that, if people have seen the previous ones, they might be disappointed because they might just go, oh, it's rehashing old ideas. But isn't that kind of generally what a sequel is anyway? There isn't many sequels to anything that kind of go, here's a whole load of new ideas. They take little elements from previous films that they know works and builds on it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get a sequel where they take it too far and they go, oh shit, okay, we better backpedal on this and go back to the way we wanted to. Star Wars, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah, they truly shot the load, didn't they? Jeez.
Go too far, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, what were they think? Rise of Skywalker. Good God. I was on board with what was the one before that, The Last Jedi. I actually thought, they're doing something interesting and different with it, which obviously a lot of fans hated. And then, in the interest of keeping everyone alive and nothing interesting happened, the last one, oh God. Yeah. So that was Jigsaw. We have just one more, and it's a fresh one as well. Spiral from the Book of Saw. Which is a naff title, actually. Just call it Spiral. Which came out this year. Came out this year, and it's the return of Darren Lynn Bousman, who was last seen directing Saw 4, but has done a whole bunch of other stuff. I quite like his Repo, the Genetic Opera.
I love that film. It's one of my favourite soundtracks.
Zydrate Anatomy. Paris Hilton's best film, also.
The House of Wax is pretty good.
That's great fun. Even Bill Moseley, who's in a lot of rubbish, he's really great in that. But yeah, Darren Lynn Bousman, he's really good actually. And Spiral came out this year, and it's a little different actually. And I think again a bit like Jigsaw, but probably more so. It's energized by a few things you wouldn't really expect at this stage. So Chris Rock turned out to be a big fan of the series, and he's the one that pitched the concept to Lionsgate, so he gets a story credit on it, and he's the star. His dad is played by Samuel L. Jackson, which is quite an amusing idea. And it's a shame, actually. I always think that this is probably similar to the other movies, I guess, in a lot of ways. But there's at least two different movies going on at the same time here. One is the movie where Chris Rock is Samuel L. Jackson's son, and there's probably one good scene where they get to bounce off each other, but there could have been more. And then the other side of it is a Saw movie, but there's also a police procedural thing that's going on. So it's a couple of different elements. There's even a scene early on where it's a bit like a mini Chris Rock stand-up routine, which is all about talking about Forrest Gump, which feels very kind of Chris Rocky, but also quite Tarantino, lesser known director. But yeah, it does open with quite a good death, though. Quite a good trap with the guy's tongue in the thing in the underground tunnel. That's quite
underground,
good.
Yeah.
But this is okay. I don't think it was anything mind-blowing. I actually think it's not quite as kind of exciting and suspenseful as Jigsaw. I think it's a step down from that. But Chris Rock, actually, yeah, I liked him. I think he's got quite a good presence on screen. Quite a nice idea to put him in there.
Controversial. Stephen's back. The man who hates Halloween Kills is back again.
Just a reminder, I loved Halloween Kills.
That's not what he said.
This is also very 70 as well. So this is back to where Saw started.
70?
70. Like the 70s. Oh, 70.
70 in Tarantino's. But
70.
Tarantino's available.
Tarantino.
70.
Jigsaw and 70. Spirally. What do you think of Spiral, Pete?
Sort of goes round and round, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Same old thing going round and round. Yeah.
Spiral goes down, goes up.
Strange pattern, really.
Spirograph. Spirograph's quite good.
Spirograph, the movie.
Yeah. They probably would make a movie, to be honest. Yes, I did like this, and I suppose I'm going to take the negative side of it for the minute, because I think the way some people didn't like it is because it's got bigger stars in it, whereas the other ones had, people you'd recognise, but you wouldn't automatically go, oh, it's such and such from that, or such and such from this. This has got, big time comedian Chris Rock in it. It's got Samuel L. Jackson, big names in it. So I suppose people sort of looked at it and went, this isn't going to be as gory or as violent as the other one. So they kind of poo-pooed on it. As people seem to do nowadays before they even get into seeing a film. They see a trailer or a poster or something before they even go into the film and go, no, don't like it. What did you say? Knobs or snobs?
Oh, knobs. They're not snobs.
Okay.
Oh, maybe they're snobs. Snobs. Knobs, snobs. The movie. They'll make a movie of everything now. Snobs is already in production.
Dr. Zeus and Snobs.
Starring Chris Rock.
So, yeah. Other than that, did you think watching it, you was like, okay, maybe this should be the end of it, or did you think, oh, I could see them take this new direction now? Because I thought they could take it a new direction. It doesn't have to be what people believe the Saw franchise to be. What's your thought?
Yeah, they could, because this is the first Saw movie where it's an actual proper copycat, not an apprentice that's been groomed by Jigsaw, and that he was never associated with Jigsaw whatsoever. So yeah, you could have like another load of spin-offs from other people trying to invent their own traps and doing the same kind of thing that John Kramer did.
Well,
sure.
I don't. You could quite easily go the aspect of, I suppose, the Scream movie aspect of it, kind of thing. Kind of go, oh, they're making a movie of, a biopic film of the killer. As serial killers are have a horrible history what they do, but in regards to fan bases, they seem to have a wild fan base, and they enjoy their culture and they're looking into things. So it would be something. Think about movies about Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy. They could quite easily do a film where somebody's in production and making a movie about the killer Jigsaw, and then somebody maybe working on the set takes that to the next level, slightly unhinged, and I could see them doing something like that. And if Hollywood, you're listening, this is my idea. I want my pet.
Get in touch with you.
Get in touch with my agent, which is me.
But yeah, I think they should have possibly made the killer a little bit more
Oh yeah.
Because he had quite, like you say, you've got big characters in Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock who worked really, really well together, and then you have other killer, and you're like, oh, who's that? You're like, that's the guy that was in Handmaid's Tale.
Oh,
Because
threatening.
that's where I know him from. And to be fair, I didn't really like his character that much in Handmaid's Tale, and then they kind of like made him out to be the bad guy in this. So I was like, no, he's still not quite there.
Mm.
Nothing against him. I didn't think he's awful, but he plays the, when he starts off being the nicey like little rookie, don't know what's going on. He plays that bit quite well, but he doesn't play the evil villain quite as well.
I did like the working title for this film. Oh, there was two actually for this one, because it was Untitled Soul Project. I wonder what that kind of film would be. Or what if it's a soul film? The other one was The Organ Donor. I quite like that.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't suppose you would associate that with Saw, but that is cool.
So, yeah, Stephen hasn't said a lot about this film. Evidently, he hates it as much as he hates Halloween Kills.
I like Halloween Kills. I wish this had been as exciting as Halloween Kills, but yeah, I think this is...
say as unexciting as Halloween Kills.
No, as exciting, because Halloween Kills is very exciting. Yeah, this is... I've got nothing against this one. I think it's low risk. I think there's nothing kind of shocking or amazing about it. It feels a little, obviously it's nowhere near as kind of dull, but it feels a little like those Hellraiser sequels where it's kind of obviously being created as a Seven rip-off and they shoehorn Pinhead into it at some point. It feels a little kind of join the dots. I thought the bad guy was really dull. But I like the stuff with Chris Rock, and I like Samuel L. Jackson, especially when he becomes this weird literal puppet of fake Jigsaw at the end. But I just think that they probably could have done more than just do the usual stuff of, oh, here's the theme kicking in when we have the montage of the reveal, which is this and that, and the bad guy gets away with it, blah, blah. I thought it was good, but it was just kind of like, you had 4 years. Could you not have come up with something a bit more adventurous?
Do you see them making another one?
Yeah, well, this was done all right. I think it hasn't made a fortune or anything, but I think, probably, inevitably they will, because it's a brand name. If the franchise has made $1 billion collectively, they're going to make another one in some way, probably a remake or whatever.
Remember, there's a roller coaster.
The Thought Park, is it? The Thought Park, or
I think it's Thought Park. It might be open town.
There's a Saw Maze at Universal Studios in I think not the Florida one, at Hollywood, I think.
There's a Saw in my local B&Q.
Yes. Yeah. There's a seesaw in the playground around here.
Is there only half a seesaw? So it's just a saw?
Oh, it's more the sea.
It's
next to the ocean.
That's trouble with global warming, climate change, eroding the atmosphere. It's taking away the fun for children. Taking away the parks, first the swings, now the seesaws. What next? Yeah,
but is it real? I mean, isn't it just like the Earth's like natural cycles? I mean, surely we can't just blame it all on man-made destruction.
Well, to be fair, the Earth is actually flat, and the reason the dinosaurs don't exist anymore is because the meteorite hit the right side of the flat part of the Earth and pinged all the dinosaurs off and flew off into space.
As for this like pandemic, I mean, like that's what they want you to. They want you to have the vaccine, right? Just so they can control you, right?
You must get the nanobots injected into you.
Nanobots, you say? The one thing I liked about it was the kind of police.
Aliens built the pyramids.
Yeah, they did. I saw one of them. It was
I saw Elvis flying an airplane the other day.
Elvis Costello or the other one?
The other one.
Oh, him.
Elvis Mangalini.
Oh yeah.
He runs a pizza shop in.
There's a guy down the chip shop that looks like Elvis.
Yeah, it's probably Kirsty McCall. Probably knows him.
Yes, that would be him. Stroke her.
Well,
I never stroked her. I just listened to her.
If you did, you was probably the owner of the speedboat that hit her.
She's all bones now.
Well, she is all bones.
Cool. Hasn't she lost weight?
She's dead.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
She got hit by a speedboat.
Yes, that's right. Tragic. Great voice.
Well, she's in the well, probably not after.
Did you hear that terrible cover version of Fairy Tale of New York with Rhoda Keating?
Yes, I did. What the? Nope. Sarah's not even joining in on this conversation. Sarah, feel free to join in at any time.
Yeah, I can't stand that song as it is. So no, I haven't heard that one.
Why is it one you wanted to die from Boyzone didn't? That's the question.
I didn't want anybody to die from Boyzone.
Oh, that's just me. I mean, my friend.
Because everybody has the right to express their talent
Choose
in their own
life.
individualistic way that some of us may not like and some of us may like. And you decided to not like it, like Halloween Kills.
The right stuff. I liked Halloween Kills a lot, actually. It's great. Halloween Kills, yep. The best, actually, I would say Halloween Kills is the best Michael Myers sequel.
I'd say the best one without Michael Myers is Halloween 3.
It's a tough contest, that one.
It is, yes. I fought that long and hard.
Oh, I say we're back to that again, aren't we? Mm-hmm.
Yes, fought that long and hard, and then I put it away, and then I thought, no, it's Halloween. Time to treat myself. Got the Vaseline out and rubbed it all over the pumpkin and started carving it.
Ah, yes.
Makes it easier to carve. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, that's good news all round.
So, anybody else want to bring anything else to talk about? Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Spiral.
Yeah, Spiral.
It was a timely thing about and very Serpico-ish about police corruption was, I suppose, the main theme of it. But yeah, it could have used a bit more pizzazz and a bit more kind of like, oh my gosh,
more songs maybe.
Songs, yeah. It was going through the motions. It was different and yet somehow very much the same. So if they're going to carry it on, maybe they should jazz it up a bit. Let's do something different. Maybe musical is the way forward now.
Yeah,
musical version of Saw, possibly. Well, stranger things have happened. Why not?
Oh,
so
Stranger Things, that went downhill. Oh, yes.
I guess that brings us to the end of Stephen's favourite subject, torture porn.
Yes, yeah, that's it really for the old Saw franchise.
Yeah. Do you actually have any favourite traps you want to mention?
Traps. I would say the rack.
Did you do your list?
Well, I picked a few. I suppose if I had to pick three,
That's not the same.
The rack.
That's like going to a shopping market and going, yeah, I've done a list on my hand, which is rubbed away because it's all sweaty and I can see 2 tomatoes maybe.
2 tomatoes. Oh, wrapped in plastic. Oh, that'll end up in the ocean. The rack, the merry-go-round, I thought was really good, just because of how well it's done. It's not necessarily the goriest one; it's just done really well. The rack, the merry-go-round, the bear trap's too obvious, so I would say the scalping is the one that made me wince, possibly. Yeah. Maybe the most, although a couple did that. The needle pit or the scalping were really uncomfortable watches, so that's probably my ones. What about yourself?
What are we doing out of 3?
3,
Go 3, yeah.
I would say the 10 pints of blood one, because it's that aspect of, okay, we know we fucked up here. We could have quite easily stopped. Because the whole idea of leading into it is, we could have done that. We could have used that person to help us with this. And now you got to the end. And it's the actual aspect of going, how much of myself do I put on the line to give the blood? And it's where you start seeing the saw go up between the fingers and go up there.
Yeah.
So I guess
that is a good
that. I quite like the angel trap, which is the one with Dina Meyer, where she has it strapped to her chest, and then it just rips open her chest, pulls out her ribs and everything. And just for the simplicity of it, I would say probably the pound flesh.
Oh yes, that's really horrific. Yeah,
because it's simple. Again, I guess it's a bit like the one with the blood. How much do you put on the line? Do you kind of go, cut off a little bit? Do you put yourself in a little bit of pain, so take a big chunk and just sort of gook, that's that? Or do you take off little bits and keep putting yourself more and more pain because you're starting off hitting all your pain receptors off at the same time? So, but as I said, I suppose the razor wear maze is quite cool.
Yeah.
You got the guy overweight guy crawling through it. But yeah, there's loads of cool traps in Saw. But I guess the one that just because satisfaction of it, it's got to be I said the peeping Tom one, just because that's the one I tend to get the most satisfaction out of. Like, I think, wow, let's be honest, kind of had it coming.
Yeah, you deserve to go in a nasty way, and that's pretty apt. We'll take that.
Yeah, it's one of them ones that the maid would come round to clean the rooms, and she's like, "Oh, maid, come round, clean room. Oh, I see you're busy. Okay, back later.
Yeah. What about yours, Sarah?
Mine would probably be the pendulum one.
That's good. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool one. And then I think my second choice would probably be I quite liked the kind of like the long-term games. So the whole bit of Saw 3, Riggs's entire game, I think was good. But I think the ending for me was probably the best. Just the fact that he shouldn't have gone in the room. He went in the room and like Eric Matthews, who'd been kept for as long as he had, you know, he'd survived the one from his son, although he'd been kidnapped. And then, you know, they just kind of went, oh, look, he's still alive. We've kept him alive this long. They've had him propped up on an ice block for the entire film. And then at the end, Riggs, all he has to do is just burst into the room and then the 2 ice blocks just come and smash his head. I thought that was awesome.
That's spectacular.
Yeah. And my number 1 trap would probably be the very first trap that goes on throughout the whole of Saw 1 of Dr. Gordon and Adam being trapped in the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's still my favourite out of all the movies. The original, I think, is the tidiest, and and at the time especially, it was something really different. Especially with those 2 guys.
I can't really rank any of the movies too much, apart from Saw, the very first one would be my favourite. Spiral's my least favourite. Everything else kind of in between. I think 2 follows on really well from the first one. Then I think I'd probably skip 3 and go on to 4 being my third favourite choice. But after that, I couldn't really work out the rest because they all just follow on from each other. So
yeah, it is quite tricky.
And as you say, like 5 and 6 are a little bit more dull, but it picks back up for 3D.
Yeah, they went all out. 3D was it was unusually good actually at the cinema to watch that, because there was a sense that they were going all out and the effects were fun, which is what 3D should be about, like stuff coming out here. Yeah, cool. Well, that's that, I think. What a marathon.
It was.
That is the Saw Movios by Quentin Tarantino.
So next month we're going to be doing all the Godzilla films. Is that right, Stephen?
Yes, and the animation, the cartoons, everything. Yeah.
Excellent.
We're going to ranking them all in order as well. Ranking, not anything else. And yeah. In fact, no, Pete, no, we've got something else planned entirely that doesn't involve Godzilla or any kind of god. Next month.
Godzilla's? Not Godzilla's.
Next month, as part of our obvious celebrations for the 90th anniversary of the Bela Lugosi Dracula, we're going to be talking Dracula movies. Specifically, we're each going to choose a favourite, not necessarily the favourite that we have, but one of our favourite Dracula movies, and spinning off from there, possibly talking of a few other Dracula movies that we really like. There is that one where Gerard Butler plays Dracula and he walks into a Virgin megastore, Dracula 2000, which actually is a great joke. Not a great movie, but I like the idea of the late Virgin megastore. Wow, used to be one with I think 3 floors in Norwich, where I used to spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
DVD section at the top, I think. Not sure where the CDs were. Maybe in the middle floor.
Are we going to reveal what our picks are?
Yes, sure. What's yours? Oh, well, you can.
Mine is going to be one with Christopher Lee. There you go. That narrative.
One. One with Christopher Lee. Excellent. Sure. Is it the Jess Franco Dracula with?
It is, yes, the one. But I'm going to go with the European cut, so you get all the sexiness put in as well.
Is it one where Christopher Lee said afterwards, "Well, I'm never going to make another Dracula film again"?
Off to Europe I go to make another one.
Hammer has cheapened the character. We need you for the next one, Chris. Oh, yes. Excellent. What about your one, Sarah?
My one? Oh, mine's definitely Dead and Loving It.
Dracula Dead and Loving
Cool.
It. Yes. with the late Leslie Nielsen.
I do love him, but
He
maybe
is great.
maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Or
I
could it be
did
Van
love him,
Helsing?
Oh God!
I
Sort of
bet
moment of silence.
I presume we're all going to be talking about these movies together as well. So I love the fact that if it is Van Helsing, Stephen has to talk.
Yeah. In fact, I'm
You
seriously
can choose it.
considering
You can. It's
Yeah,
free.
yeah.
It's free choice.
Because you're like, that means I have to watch it again. And
I
I was
would
like,
watch it again.
Stephen, what other vampire Dracula film do you hate?
Let's think. Blade Trinity is terrible. That's not Dracula. Oh,
Okay,
Dracula is
right.
in that.
No,
Dracula
no,
is in
Blade
that.
Trinity. Okay, mine's Blade Trinity. Sarah's going to pick Van Helsing.
yeah.
There
So you
is
have to
some-
watch both of them and Dracula, Dead and Loving It.
And I rewatch it with the audio commentary. Is that?
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind watching the Leslie Nielsen one because at least that's
It's fun.
it's not his best one, but it's fun. Yeah, it's
If we
quite.
was to pick vampire films, I would have picked Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. That's just a great hammer film. But it's Dracula related, so it
Has to be Dracula.
Christopher Lee.
Oh, Christopher Lee. Oh, bless him.
Oh, I've met him. Long time ago.
I never met him actually. I just saw him on the TV.
Nice fellow.
Oh, he was very good, wasn't he?
Mhm.
So,
What was yours, Stephen? Did you say your film was?
well, not totally. I think it's going to be the Lugosi Dracula because I do like that a lot. I was
Is it the Abbott Costello one?
I like that one too. But yeah, I think it's going to be the 1931 one. Although I was thinking about the Udo Kier one, Blood for Dracula, Andy Warhol's Dracula, which is really fabulous. So I may change my mind.
So there you go, everybody. As a whole,
We'll
we
choose
don't
one.
know. We have all these films, and we don't know what will get surprised for you when you tune in.
Yes, that's next week. Actually, next month.
That's next month.
Next month, nothing's happening next week. It's Halloween, so go and enjoy yourselves.
The reins over to him. Stephen, you can take full control of the podcast. Oh yeah. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Next week. Yeah, next month we'll be here. The last Friday of the month, of course, is when we shall ejaculate the latest episode into your Spotify cavity. Yeah.
Before we all go, is anybody doing anything for Halloween? Because nobody mentioned it, because it is, of course, Halloween month. So is anybody doing anything for Halloween this year?
Oh, Trick or Treat, I think, is back this year for us. Probably a bit of dressing up, probably a horror movie. I've got Trick or Treat, the movie, lined up. That's it.
Very nice. Nice.
You doing anything?
That is. Who, me? Wait, I already said I'm going to a gig.
Send Paul paramedics.
Send Paul
more
paramedics.
paramedics.
Well, we hope Paul gives Paul our regards, and hopefully we hear better from him in the next episode. So if you don't want to hear us talk about Dracula, just stay tuned to find out the whereabouts and how Paul is doing. Hopefully he pulls through.
Is that Paul from Neighbours, Paul Robinson?
Wow, that's something
Still
else.
alive.
We're going to leave
For
on
the
a
Australian
cliffhanger.
listeners.
No, leave the people wanting more. We must not reveal the last name. They just know it's Paul. That's all they need to know for now.
Paul from the shop. Paul.
It's Paul Blomart. It's Paul Cop. Sorry.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. Oh, jolly nice. Well, yeah, that's it. That's all we've got time for this year, this month, this week, and it's yes. I've lost the
Would you
power
like me
of
to do the
speech.
outro, Stephen?
Yes, if you could. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's late night, and
Yikes. So thank you once again to all of you for listening. Thank you to Stephen, and thank you to Sarah. Go check out Stephen's work for cinémacabre.co.uk. That's the correct website, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, there's
and go check
stuff.
out Sarah. This is your turn. Hello, how are you? You right? Time for you to plug your own website and go check out Sarah's website, which is all about zombies, which is
it's called Brain Bites.
Brain Bites. I believe both are more on various social media, and of course to check out all your various daily horror news, reviews, interviews, etc. Check out horrorscreamsvideobox.co.uk and share this podcast around, because we're in the top 30 in the UK, which I think is pretty cool.
Good
It is really cool.
Yes.
So yes, that's for this episode. Have a nice Halloween, everybody, and we will be back on the 26th of November.
Oh, goodbye.
See you later.
Bye.